Hey, you guys know what that video music means. That means it is time for us to play some assignment Unpossible. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everybody, to the stream. I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to some good times with assignment Unpossible, the greatest spy team in the world. Before we get there, though, I do want to remind everybody about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please consider supporting the channel by checking out, by following the channel, first of all. Please consider supporting the channel by checking out the Discord with the !ARVCord. That is where we hang out in between streams. !ARVTube will get you to my YouTube channel where you can check out past broadcasts of the stream. !ARVTweets will get you to my Twitter. Please retweet this stream, by the way, because we want to make sure that we get people outside of the general Twitch community to join in as well. That is always a good time. !ARVShop. We'll get, actually, !tweet, I should say, will allow you to retweet the stream as well, and that is always a good thing. Thank you, Shadow. !ARVShop will get you over to my merchandise area where you can, at the moment, get stuff supporting Infinity and Beyond, which supports the channel, but we're going to be adding pretty soon merchandise as well for this very show, Assignment Unpossible, as well as Esper Genesis and maybe some other surprises in there, so please check that out with !ARVShop. !ARVTreon is the Patreon. You can see that we are up to $389.96. We are so close to 400. Would love to be able to get up to that $400 level because we can get cool stuff for the channel and cool stuff for you as well. So please consider supporting that. And last but certainly not least, of course, is that sub button right above the sub window. We are right at 70 subs at the moment. So every number that we go above that, 71, 72, 73, will be a new record for the channel. And that's obviously a good thing for everybody. So if you're able to do that, you can get those awesome custom sub badges that you see in chat and all that good stuff. So that would be lovely. Thank you all for being here. So I am coming to you live from the Great White North, by which I mean Ottawa, Canada. I'm coming to you live from my hotel room in Ottawa, where I am at CanCon. I arrived a few hours ago, got myself set up and ready to go, and after I finish with this wonderful adventure tonight, I'm going to pack up this stuff and get ready for tomorrow's session. I'm going to be doing a panel, I'm going to be doing a reading at CanCon, and then in the evening at 7 p.m. I will be doing a live in front of a studio audience Adventures in Middle-earth Wilderland Adventures session. Amal El-Matar will be joining. She is a special guest, of course, who lives in Ottawa, so she will be joining us live and in person. And then the other three players, Will, Tren, and Terry, will be joining us, but they will be calling in as opposed to showing up live, so that's going to be a good time. And then I will be back on the other side of the border, back in my own area next Tuesday. And I am happy to say that I have some new, I have an announcement that I can't quite make yet, but I'll be able to make soon, and it's going to be helpful, I guess, about if you're interested in D&D. If you like D&D and Infinity and Beyond, and you're wondering about a certain missing character, you might get some information about that this coming Tuesday during my regular afternoon stream, so you will want to be around for that, and then I'll continue with Pathfinder Kingmaker. So I'm going to be keeping my voice down a little bit lower, by the way, just so you know, because I am in a hotel room, so I am trying not to shout. But I am going to, having said that, still be excited to continue to play and bring you this wonderful adventure that we have got for you tonight. So let me get rid of this, let me turn off this, and let me turn on, nope, not that one, that one, there we go. Good to see you all. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone is doing well, and I hope you are looking forward to the stream and all that good stuff. As I say, I am coming to you live, and this is a good action test of the sort of internet actually here, because I'm doing this wirelessly, because I'll probably be streaming it wirelessly when I actually do the AME session tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. I know that Brahms is here, and that'll be good, because hopefully, Brahms, you might be able to give me a hand with, if I decide to use my handy-dandy phone to be able to help with the broadcast. If I do it that way, like I did for Gen Con, it would be nice to have someone who can monitor it and make sure that it doesn't stop randomly or whatever, which is what Hillness and Fury Fire did at Gen Con for me. But we'll see. Either way, I am excited about what's going on. Ottawa isn't even north of the 49th. So that's the deal with that. But today we have got, however, assignment Unpossible. It is episode 4, and we are starting late because I drove up to Ottawa today. So I was on the road for 7.5 hours today. Plus, I ended up having to stop a couple of times, actually. And so, yeah, I stopped, and that is why we are here today doing what we're doing. But I am now here. I'm in the hotel. We're ready to go. And so, with no further ado, if I can manage to get through all this, I am going to unmute myself so that they know that we are just about ready to go. And then I'm going to unmute them. There we go. And last but certainly not least, I am going to go over to, and there they all are, the wonderful team. And for some reason, one of the members of the team is far lower than he should be. I will correct that in just a moment.
Wait, I'll take care of it. Hold on. I can do it. I can do it.
It's like that Saturday Night Live skit where Dukakis just like goes up this way.
The elevator.
Now we can actually, exactly. Now we can actually see it. This is the wonderful assignment Unpossible crew. We were not able to get together last month, but we were able to schedule today because they are all super flexible and they were able to accommodate my late ass starting time. Even one of them who has to get up for crazy military training shenanigans tomorrow. But that's the dedication that these people have. Okay, that's what we're all about. I am happy to see them all here, and as is the case, I will start with the gentleman to my right as you are watching on the screen, and that is Mr. Greg Stengel. How are you, Greg? Grimjack, how is life, the universe, and everything? What's up with you, and who are you playing today, sir?
I'm playing Benjamin Voss, who is the Shade tonight, and as for how Greg is doing, I'm doing well. It's become very obvious to me this time of year, this twilight of autumn, that it is a scary time to be someone who's scared of scary movies and scary games. I'm being made fun of the fact that I like Cthulhu but don't like anything else horror-based, and I'm okay with that. So let's play some spy stuff, which shouldn't be scary.
No, there'll be no horror in this at all. Absolutely not. It's just called If Hell Freezes Over, so I'm sure that nothing bad could ever happen. But it's good to have Greg with us. Moving right along, directly over, we have someone who just got done with another game and came back on from this game, and that of course is Lauren. Lauren Irwin. Lauren, what is up? How are you? Thank you for coming on again late, as I said. How's life, and who are you playing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm Lauren. I'm Not Salty Ginger over on the Twitters. And today I'm playing Anastasia Sokolov, and I definitely didn't just look at the overlay to remember that was my surname. I'm always very prepared, as anybody here will tell you. Super prepared. Super Russian. That sounds right. Mm-hmm. I think I'm actually from Moldova. I remember things. But yes, I am excited to knife boot more people. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, Stasi is, of course, the team's heavy and has proved that. I think, are we 3 for 3 on spider kills? Have you taken out someone with a spider kill every episode? I don't remember.
Yes, I have. I think I have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like every episode you have. So
that's what I do.
Yeah, I'll see if we get more spider kills in this. I just have to have one episode where it all takes place outside in the open air, so you just have no ceiling to hang on to.
No, then I'm going to be one of those like spiders that tunnels.
Oh, okay, that's freaky. See, that there's no need for that. Okay.
I love Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I promised there was going to be no horror.
There would be no horror. Tunneling spider.
You're playing with me though, so there will be.
I don't think anyone's ready for Lauren to just tunnel out of the ground at them.
No, I would not be ready for that.
In game or in real life, it's like,
So then I was walking along, and then Lauren just jumped out of the earth and attacked. And so,
as she does.
As she does. Moving right along, thank you. Looking forward to having Lauren with us, as always. Moving right along, we have someone else who also just played a game and just logged off and moved over here because, again, dedication. And that, of course, is Chelsea Steverson, Little Red Dot. Chelsea, how are you? How's life? Thank you for the quick change-o, costume-o that you did.
I'm an IRL spy.
Yeah, exactly.
From Drow matron mother to...
Exactly, and no one ever knows which is the real you. How are you, and who are you playing today?
I am great. It has been kind of a weird week. Like, I got off a 5-day hiatus in the woods. I came back Tuesday from like no technology, and then this hurricane or this tropical storm like hit Georgia, which canceled like all school and work. So I've had like 8 days off.
Nice.
From work. I've been like riding out this high. So today was actually my first day back at the school. So I am actually well rested, and I've been playing a lot of games and catching up on a lot of work. So I'm actually doing pretty good. I got an early morning for the podcast, but I am really excited to be here. Playing spies, and I'm actually playing Vivian Merlot. She is of course our grifter who likes to, I guess, talk and persuade. We'll say her way out of most situations, but she tends to be very good at it. So when it's working, just.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, as was proven in our last episode, you were able to do it even when Benjamin was desperately trying to distract you. So that was fine, and that actually worked out really well. It was good times. But anyway, thank you, Chelsea. Always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing how Vivian does things today. And last but certainly not least, we have a gentleman who will also be getting up early tomorrow to go run around in the woods and do military things. But again, dedication, like I've said, and that, of course, is Mike Hunt. Mike, how are you? And also known as Unmade Gaming. Mike, how are you? And how's life, the universe, and everything? And
good.
Who are you playing?
I'm good. I'm far more awake than I should be, given the circumstances. But I've been binging The Haunting of Hill House all day, which is probably why my adrenaline's high and I'm not going to sleep forever now. So I'm really excited to play this game and take a break from scaring myself senseless. And I'm here to play Damien Antonio, which I also didn't have to look up. That's totally fine. I'm the group tech, and I'm totally prepared to make cool things that do cool stuff and be confused by everyone else doing all the weird things they're doing.
Yes, there was a lot of confusion the last time. That's true. This is your second mission, of course, with the team, technically, as the
it's my second mission.
Second mission. Yeah, that's right. It's your second mission, period. That's true. I forgot about that. Well, this outstanding spy team, of course, has been involved now with several missions of saving the world from Nazis, saving the world from the communists, saving the world from lots of things. But the team is going to go in a different place today. For those of you who have not been to this show before and want to know what it's about, this team is the greatest spy team ever assembled, and this takes place in the late 1960s. They are a team of the best, and this system that we are doing is based on a modified version of Wilderness of Mirrors by John Wick, not that John Wick, the other one. It is amazing, an incredible system that I've been super excited to play, and I am really happy to be able to move us forward to another realm, as it were. Also, I noticed that we have some of our top inspirers in chat, and so get those inspirations ready, people. I know Nonstop wants to save it because he's freaked out about the Adventures of Middle-earth crew. That's true, but remember, all players deserve equal treatment, so, be ready to use those inspirations if need be. We'll talk more about that when we get there. So, we begin today's episode, which, as I said, is episode 4, If Hell Freezes Over. And it starts with Benjamin, as usual. Ben, you are walking into a diner. There is a bunch of tables at this diner. The diner is basically deserted except for one maid behind, looks sort of like a waitress, I guess, behind the counter, who seems to be cleaning some dishes and not paying any particular attention to you. And on the tables are a bunch of these individual small little jukeboxes, if you know what I mean, right? Not the big ones, but the ones that are actually per seat. You could actually go to them and then sort of select something. And you may know where you're supposed to get your mission orders from this setup. What do you do?
Benjamin would go in. He would not need a menu because this is a diner and diners serve everything. If asked by the waitress, Dixie Biscuits, he would just simply say, give me a cup of coffee black, and then he would start to look for the song Hound Dog by Elvis Presley.
You get to you sort of flip through them, and eventually you get to the one that says, "Indeed, you find it." And it's odd because it's the only one on that list. Like, there's the only one in that flap. So there's a bunch of songs, and then there's just Hound Dog. And you notice that all it says is Hound Dog. Like, all the selections on the left side, all the selections on the right side say the same thing. It doesn't do anything, and it looks like this jukebox is powered by quarters, if you had to guess.
I would say that that's pretty expensive for the late 60s, but I'll go ahead and drop a quarter.
It's a special spy jukebox, in fairness.
Okay.
An expensive spy jukebox.
Pay for that intel.
Quarter. This is like a rent for next month for Ben. He'll go ahead and drop a quarter in, and he will select Hound Dog.
Okay. When you do that, the music starts playing, and over to the table walks the waitress. And she has got a tray of food, not food that you specifically remembering ordering other than just the black coffee. And as she puts down the black coffee and she slides over the tray, without looking at you, you notice that the tray is covered with one of those, like, it's not a big looped one, but just sort of like a small flat rectangular cover over the plate.
Ben would open it up away from him. So he would crack it away towards the opposite seat of the bench, and then he would slowly peek around the edge because he didn't become the best spy in the world by being careless.
Inside, you notice, taped to the inside, is a yellow manila envelope.
There she blows, and he will pull out the envelope.
Okay. You read this, and for this I will actually pull up something so everyone can see it, including chat. Inside you find two photographs. The first one is this one, which you should now be able to see on your screen. And with it, of course, is the jukebox that's been playing the music suddenly starts playing. Basically, you hear a voice quietly. You have to kind of lean in to hear it. Nobody else would be able to hear it at any other table. But it says the following. Good evening, Mr. Voss. This is Koravan, for 200 years the most infamous penal colony on Earth. Until 5 years ago, when it was closed down, Koravan was run by this man, as he hurriedly pulls out the handout to show. This man, which I have now shown you. Can everyone see that in Roll20? Okay.
Yep.
This man, Hector Castillo, who still remains there with a small group of former guards. Castillo has come into possession of a sample of cesium-138 and its formula, which he memorized and destroyed. He has offered these for sale to the highest bidder. Cesium-138 is the key to a low-cost nuclear arsenal. Should he sell it, any country in the world would have the power to bring other countries to their knees. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to make sure that no one gets the cesium or learns the formula. As always, should you or any of your assignment Unpossible force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. This recording will automatically self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Ben.
And what was the name of the island again?
Not the island. This prison that you're looking at, Koravan. But yeah, none of you are really that familiar with it, except that you've heard the name of Koravan, this legendary prison. But it's one of those things that was almost like half mythical, like, basically. Some of you may have more direct experience with it than others, but in general terms, people would know of it as having heard of it as a name, but not as an actual functioning thing, nor that it was in sort of circulation up to like 5 years ago. That's not information you would necessarily have known. You also know that this is actually located somewhere in Chile, in the country of Chile.
Okay.
And the rest of the information I can give you whenever the briefing happens. So Ben, you've just gotten this stuff. What do you do with this now that you've got this piece of paper, etc., and you've just heard the thing about self-destruct?
Perhaps for the first time, Ben lingers a moment before he replaces everything into the manila folder that usually has a burning mechanism or some type of control inside it. He maybe buys himself an extra 2 or 3 seconds he shouldn't have, covers it back up, puts the metal over the tray, leaves the coffee without having taken a sip, and doesn't walk out in any particular sneaky way, but just walks out the front, hands in his pockets.
Okay. As you do so, you hear a little bit of the telltale hissing sound coming from the envelope, and also apparently coming from the jukebox. And as you were walking away, and you took a quick look, you might have noticed that the hound dog flap on the jukebox is now completely blank, as if the flaps have been erased. Okay. Fast forward now to, I believe, your apartment, where you have gathered the team together, and the team has now been given this information. Now, there's 2 other bits of information that you have. The one bit of information is that you have a floor plan of this prison, Ben. And the second bit of information that you happen to know, Damien, is that cesium-138 is extremely volatile. And to keep it from essentially exploding, which would be a very unpleasant thing, it needs to be kept refrigerated. What you might know is that Chile, in the summer, is not much of a country for refrigeration, which means there's some combination of things going on down there that doesn't quite make sense yet. But in any case, cesium-138, very, very dangerous if you leave it at room temperature, let alone at the temperatures of Chile, which can often exceed 100 degrees during the summer. Having said that, I leave it back over to the party, assuming, Ben, that you gave all the folks the information I just gave you.
I sure did.
Where are we located? We're just hanging out? We have like a headquarters or
Yeah.
Not Ben's apartment.
Exactly. It's right. It's not Ben's apartment. But yes, that's basically where the team generally meets. You don't always have to meet there, by the way, if you don't want to, but it seems to be logical.
No, this is my favorite place. It has vodka and it has plenty of walls for me to do one-handed push-ups again.
4 of them.
Yeah, sorry about chat, guys. I just fixed the chat program. Sorry, I had to minimize. My bad. Sorry.
I mean, a place could have less walls. It would be a very poor place to live. But
I've been in places with less.
I've lived in a cave. So I'm doing push-ups again. So we're thinking that this man, Castillo, is there in the prison with the staff. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know if you've ever been to Chile, but it is rather warm this time of year. It seemed odd, if it is as volatile as you say, that he would be keeping it there.
Yeah, there would need to be a lot of power.
Well, then that would be pretty easy to trace then. Yeah, if that's what we're looking for.
I mean, given the information we currently have, I don't think so. Ben, was this all you got? Those 2 photos you mentioned, and
Yeah, that's all I got. But it won't be too hard to find. We'll be able to find it.
you can get like aerial view, nothing, no kind of. Okay, all right, well.
Well,
I was going to say I do have. Well, that's up to you. But you do have access to a floor plan, and I can pop it up for you if you need it.
oh, we do have a map of it.
Right, this
Okay.
is why I assume that it's there, because I don't know why else headquarters would give us a floor plan of the prison.
It's true.
You make a good point.
Yes, I like to meta the headquarters just a little to expedite the mission process.
I will bring you over. I will bring you over to what you folks should now be able to see is the interior.
Oh, okay. Where's that? Ooh.
Oh.
So, what do we know about the functionality of this prison? Is it still heavily populated, or does he simply squat here?
That's a good question. I think he formerly was stationed here, or is it still active?
It's no longer active. It was shut down basically 5 years ago when it was considered to be too much of a public relations problem for the country, and they were trying to move in a different direction. He was the commandant for a long time of that prison, and he still kind of basically lives there with a group of people. This Chile is not particularly good at dealing with corruption or dealing with former prison officials. They haven't gotten around to it, basically. And he had a lot of resources left over. So he's still there with kind of a group of his loyal guards, but it's no longer functional as a prison that, that people send prisoners to.
Well, then in my mind, this would be perfect place to keep it. You just refrigerate the big room or something.
Yes. Is there a way to track power?
You'd likely be in the. Is there a basement? The deeper down you go, the likelier it is it's colder down there. That'd be right.
Yes, and he has been squatting here for a few years, so we could rightfully assume he has dug down.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that hard, I guess, if you have enough men for it.
Would not.
That's where I'd put it. You obviously run power refrigeration units running 24/7. I don't know how Chilean power systems work or how their electric companies are set up, but I think someone would notice that.
Well, easiest thing to do here is if this cesium-138 needs to be, kept cool, if we make it hot or not cool anymore and it blows up, the prison's remote enough where only Castillo and his people would be hurt.
So you think we should detonate it to alleviate the world of its presence?
I think it should be a possibility if we can't. There's too much of it.
Wait. How remote is the prison?
Pretty remote.
It is fairly remote, although I do want to make one note, which is that there were always there were a couple of villages that were in, not like right next to it, but that were relatively not that far away. Also, I do want to just mention that detonation will lead to fallout. Now, it's not like, double, triple mushroom cloud apocalypse, but it would make that place not a great place to live for a couple hundred years.
I see.
But hey, look,
Damien, could you make something a small, compact, transportable thing?
Yes.
To refrigerate it and move it? In case any of us have consciences.
No, not compact.
What about like compact for me?
Unless you're gonna tell me that right now one of your impressively head-crushing thighs is actually a false limb.
Would you like to find out?
No, but I can't power something. The batteries are enormous.
Okay,
Well, I
okay.
thought of
Yeah,
that.
hold on. You're looking at this, kid. We don't need something that's going to be able to sustain a cold temperature. Do you have something chemically that you could be able to freeze something and it would be frozen and would slowly get warmer, but if we put things in it, it would remain cold. It wouldn't have to be cold forever. It could be cold for 6 hours, like liquid nitrogen or some other scientist thing.
Dry ice.
Yeah.
I could, yes. Let me work on that. I think I can. I think I can come up with something like that. But we have to move it quick. I think the nuclear half-life of cesium is like 40 something years. So You have to.
Well, that
Move that
does
quickly.
beg the question, Benjamin. Where are we to take it once we have acquired it?
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
I'm sure contact will be made to relieve us of the hazardous nuclear material.
I
But
see.
yeah.
Also-
that sounds good enough.
Didn't your message say that he didn't? Does he have it, or did he memorize the plans on how to make it?
Both.
Oh,
Yeah, both.
So we must
okay. So
dispose of him as
I'll
well.
worry about disposing the one thing, and you guys worry about disposing the other thing.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Hey, Damien, one other note, by the way, that you would know is that the other thing about cesium is that if it is an explosion which takes place far underground, the radiation would be minimized. I mean, I'm not trying to give you ideas of things to say, but I wanted to mention that this is it's almost like a much less powerful tactical nuclear device, which means if it explodes in the open air, there's a good 50-mile radius it's going to be irradiated for, like I said, a while. But if it explodes underground, like in a particular spot, it would probably be pretty localized. I don't know how great it is for the water table, but
Greg, jeez.
I was just saying, we can just find a well. We can drop it down a well.
sure.
I mean, as long as there's no like uranium-235 around, we're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Just,
Fire in the
like,
hole, like every other spy group did this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh god.
It's, like cesium-137 is only one half of Chernobyl, so like you need the uranium to make it really explosive. So we're fine. I think I can. Ben, I think I can do that. I think I can make something that will freeze it.
Okay.
I knew you could do it, Damien.
Thanks, Stassi.
Okay.
Says nervously.
Yes, good.
So is the plan simply to waltz through the front door? I have a feeling I may stand out a bit in a deserted prison.
I never learned how to waltz.
Well, we can fix that.
Okay. Good. Now?
Well, if you feel so inclined, then most of the time at least somebody asks me to dance.
Oh, would you like to waltz with me? I mean,
Sure.
while we're planning, it keeps the blood flowing.
Yeah, she gets up and she says, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Wait, what? You're going so
I don't
fast.
know how.
And I'm talking over my shoulder. So, are we going to just 1, 2, 3? No, with your right foot. 1, 2, 3.
Which
Walk
is
in.
like, I feel like I'm doing it on the same foot.
I don't see how
every
this is
time.
helping.
It's helping
It's not.
us think.
Okay.
Yeah. This isn't going to be one of those things that you can dance or probably talk your way acceptably or civilly out of. But I'm going to throw out another suggestion as then Damien came up with the refrigeration unit. Why don't you all be arms dealers that are buying the cesium-138?
Oh, I see. So we are to pose as a buyer for the product. What makes you think he'll sell it to a bunch of Americans?
I'm not
Well,
American.
I was going to say Stasi's not American.
Okay.
I feel like I'm spiritually an American.
Well,
yeah,
that's why we keep you
didn't-
around.
Vivian, you can be whatever you want to be, and the kid here can be quiet. So you all can be arms dealers.
What are you going to do, Benjamin?
Oh, I'm not going to be seen.
So you are to sneak in while we distract him.
Probably for the best.
How about I propose the boy, is that what you called him?
Ah, the boy.
Go with you, and the two of us procure it. I have a feeling working with someone may be beneficial, especially somebody that understands this chemical.
Now,
Yeah,
Vivian,
wherever you guys want.
Vivian, you know that I don't feel this way. This is the 60s, right? But Castillo is a man that is not going to listen as well to a woman without the presence of a man on your side.
He's a baguette
And-
man.
In lieu of that, Damien will fill in admirably for a man, and then you'll be able to get. You'll be able to.
Are you telling me I can't play the part
Wow.
of a man?
I'm not saying anything. I prefaced
Is
all
that
of
a
this.
challenge
by
for
saying
the actress in the group?
if there is a gauntlet, throw it at my feet. I'm simply saying that Castillo's not a man to trifle with. He is old-fashioned.
I for one think you could pull off a man.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Well, one of you three could be a man then.
So, and what are we to do if he gives us a tour of the facility only to find you red-handed?
Oh, he's not going to find me. It would be bad if he found me.
What exactly are you going to be doing, Benjamin?
I'm gonna go pick up a pack of smokes I left there. And he points down on the floor plan to cell 23 and circles it with his forefinger and says, "That was my place."
Oh, you know this place.
I was a resident.
Well, aren't we lucky? Okay. Well, this is good.
What, like when it was a prison?
Yes,
I mean,
baby.
yeah, when else?
I was just curious. He said resident. What did you do?
So,
Yeah,
Oh,
Ben, what did you
No,
do?
never mind.
No, I want to
I-
know.
I will gladly tell you what I did. I escaped. I was the only one that did so, and Castillo probably isn't happy. So,
How difficult would it be to replicate a fraudulent version of this to replace it, as to not cause suspicion? Yes, do we know what it looks like?
I don't want to be the one to point this out because I don't generally like this thing, but I think you have to. And he like nods towards Stasi. I think he memorized it. The
Oh, you're
formula
saying
to make it.
you want me to crush the memory from his skull? Do you want
Yeah.
my thighs to do it or my hands?
I wasn't gonna be specific,
Thighs or hands,
Yes.
Damien? It's
but
up
we
to you.
can't just take it and replace it because he'll make more.
I see. We must. So, Ben, are you going to just explode the place? Are you going to
That's
detonate it? Take it.
I think that is. We'll put a pin in the last part about detonating the place.
Don't take the
And-
pin out; it will blow up.
Let's let's keep that, as Stasi said, that's our pre pin as we are getting ready to do what we need to do here. But like you've all stated, it's a twofold thing. We need to get the 138 and we need to get Castillo. So
All right. Well, I think it is worth a shot.
If I had a preference, it would be the not killing team not kill people.
Oh,
Is there
dear.
a team? Which team is that?
No, that's not a team option, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you going
that
to...
the team just left. They were on the
That's right.
Well, I figured
Current
like,
team
ben,
is-
Ben, if you're gonna split up and not kill anybody, and Stasi has done almost all the killing I've seen, you know.
Ben, why were you in prison?
because I got caught.
Oh,
This is my friend Ben. He's so funny.
it is a very serendipitous story. Escape from the prison in which you must sneak back into.
Yep.
You should
Strange,
make a
but
movie of your life.
They should.
I'm gonna work.
I think
I'm
it's
gonna
a
work on
start.
that device.
Paul Newman.
So, is there a way for us to, in terms of setting up for this exchange, we'll call it, maybe the three of us should be lackeys instead of, the person. Seems
Right.
more reasonable to send two women
Small silent
A
boy.
and Damien.
That's what I
Yes.
said.
Yes, yes. Right? For us to make the exchange for someone else. That way, suspicion is lowered. The real question is, who would he trust? This Hector man? Somebody powerful, influential.
Greg, how long has it been since our last mission?
I would say that this mission is taking place about 2 months after your last one, maybe 2.5.
Okay.
Would the general underworld community be aware of what happened in East Germany, of the fall of that cell?
I would say the underworld community wouldn't, certainly, because part of the issue is that you set it up such that the communists wouldn't really know what had happened, right? So the only ones really who know are your direct bosses, like the secretary, and your team's mission creators, but not necessarily more generally. I wouldn't say no.
So, Ben, you escaped, and you said that he knows who you are, and wouldn't like that.
Yes, to all of those.
What if I just trade him for the information and say that I know the current identity and location of Benjamin Voss?
Oh.
I take it all back, kid. That's a good idea.
Thanks.
It is.
You going to be
And
able to
then-
tell him that?
You can dress like a man, and Stasi, you can kill whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'll be here. We'll be fine.
Oh, no, you come. with
You
this.
seem nervous.
Yeah, because the first time I went out, you guys killed a whole village almost.
It seems like you have a problem with that. Should we talk about it?
I said it like day one, before we even got on a plane to Russia. I said,
Well,
or
we weren't
Berlin,
in Russia.
whatever.
Yeah, there we getting closer. West.
I'm good at geography. I'm good at chemicals and technology. Giant batteries.
Are you done?
And
Okay,
babbling.
I'm done. Sorry.
I simply asked because I wonder how it is you made it this far without killing someone.
I didn't make it this far. This was mission 2.
Oh.
I work in the bureau. In
No.
it. Literal.
Not anymore.
I know. I don't know if you know this. I don't even have a gun.
Do you want
Oh, child.
No.
Here, I go to reach for one and like
Please
hurry up and move
stop.
to his place.
No.
Okay. As much as I want to know why Ben went to prison, which we will discuss on the way, and he will definitely tell me because we are friends, and as much as I want to help Damien get over his fear of killing people. So the plan right now is for the three of us to go in, trade info on Benji, and also offer pretend money that we don't have to get this information, kill the guy, and then Ben is going to sneak in and find the area where it's being kept. Right?
Absolutely, it sounds perfect. I would say this though, that as fantastic as I am,
Yep.
I'm not going to get you the cesium-138, but I think that the meeting is definitely something that could be triggered by my name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all are going to have to negotiate this deal yourselves. Get as much of it as you can. I'll take care of the rest. And then we got to figure out how we take out Castillo. and not end up in the prison because it's not nice.
Interesting. What if... What if our trade, the price for the... whatever it is...
Cesium
Right, yes.
138.
Yes.
I'm still waltzing.
Is actually Benjamin. Does he know what you look like?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How likely is it that we can make Damien look like?
You think Damien can look like Benjamin?
Wait, if we're gonna have the meeting, and Ben, you're not getting us the cesium while we're having the meeting, and also not dealing with Hector, what are you doing?
I am Plan B. If you can't secure the cesium 138, I will make sure that we procure it from inside, and that Hector doesn't wake up anymore.
I feel like a lot of steps are missing out of that plan B.
I agree. What
Plan
if,
B's are great.
what if we actually show you, Benjamin?
It's a gray area.
What if you show me what?
Yes, what if you are actually our trade? We capture you,
Oh,
bring
yeah,
you
that's like,
in chains, and trade you for the cesium.
humor. Sure. Listen, my name, my flesh is not going to win you this prize. This is this devil's way of buying himself a country. This isn't as much as you think of me, Vivian. I am not worth a couple $1 million.
Oh,
At least
yes,
not
you are, Benjamin.
Right.
Is it personal
Yes, you are.
Is it personal?
what
Oh,
you and him have?
it's intimate. Let's leave it at that.
You'd be amazed what people will do for the things that they care about.
You would be amazed at what they would not do when asked to give up money.
Okay, so Benji gets us into the room. That's pretty far already.
I agree.
He
We can
legitimizes.
also promise money to go along with it.
You should get some fake money.
The Benjamin piece is more of a show of good faith. Anybody can bring money, but not everybody can bring Benjamin.
But do we have money?
The government does, right? Is that something we can get? We can
We
get
can
money.
get fake
Right.
money.
We can get
I'm sure, Greg, we could if they wanted to necessitate some type of wire for a show of good faith deposit of $50K or something like that. I'm sure the American government could kind of do something like that, right?
You have quite a few resources available to you. Although I will point out, if for some reason that money was lost without return, that generally won't come in. That won't be seen positively by your superiors. But you've had to deal with that before. But sure, you guys are the best for a reason. They provide you lots of resources.
And I was going to say too, $50,000 for a couple million worth of cesium 138. I mean, I don't know figures, but that seems like a good trade. So
I would agree with that.
I think Benjamin doesn't want to face him.
I'm on
You
that team.
No, I want to see it though. I want to see it up close and personal, and kind of help with boot camp.
What, you want to see Benjamin and him personal, or you want to see
Yeah.
it up close, the cesium?
No, the former.
Okay.
Why would I-
Just making sure I understand. what your
Look at the
interests lie.
cesium.
I mean, unless you mean the brain matter on which it is present. Yes, I will smush it into a pulp and look at the cesium. No, I want to see Ben and Castillo like this.
I too would like to see this. I
I
just
want to see Ben.
it is a sore spot, something that we can pour salt into, potentially use to our advantage.
I've done that in torture sessions before.
It works well.
I appreciate your gusto for just base gladiatorial entertainment, but we have a job, and the job works best if my name is dangled like a night crawler on a line, giving you all the meat. With all luck, you walk in there, the deposit is verified, you get your cesium, you take it to points unknown, which is our government. I'm in there, I make sure that next time Hector goes to sleep, he wakes up dead. Everything's taken care of.
So why would we dangle your name then, if you are actually, in fact, not a trading?
To get them.
Because he might have multiple people that want to buy this. Dangling my name.
So it's the
And
cherry
take-
on the ice cream.
Sure.
Their eyes.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Cherry.
Okay. I mean, this makes sense to me.
We could, in fact, show pictures of you tied up and bound. He is going to want to know that we have you in custody.
Can we stage them now?
When was the last time you'd been punched in the face, Benjamin?
I'll do it. Let me do it.
Better yet, no, Damien, when was the last time you punched a man in the face? This could be good for you.
We can take turns. I'll show you how to do it.
3 years
I'm here.
ago in training.
This is my apartment. I'm right here.
Yeah.
I am only saying, if we drop your name, he's going to say, well, how do I know you actually have access
Here is
to
a
the Benjamin?
picture.
Here is a picture.
Bound
Exactly.
and
Well,
gagged.
Well, I mean, I don't want to tell you your business, Vivian, but if you're taking a picture, the last thing you want to hurt is this. So you want this to be. This
So
is the
take
money
off
maker.
your shirt. We'll punch your abs.
Oh, Stassi. It's escalated quickly.
Why would that help at all?
That's just an additional thing. Like, just like, oh, by the way.
Because all torture must happen with your shirt
Right,
off.
exactly.
Haven't you seen a movie ever, Greg?
Yeah, Greg.
Uh,
Have you seen a movie?
When was the last time
it's
that you
just
saw
all
where your
rib
shirt-
damage.
Greg.
All
So
rib
many
damage.
spy movies, Greg.
Well, if you think simply dropping Benjamin's name is enough dangled as
No, pictures of me, I don't mind, but I mean, just beating me up for shits and giggles is a little excessive.
it needs to look realistic.
Like
Hey,
you were captured.
Ben?
Well, to make it realistic, I'm gonna have to bust my knuckles up a little bit too. Which
Yeah,
means
okay, you can try.
here, right?
Yeah, come on. You can hit me, I'll give you a free one.
Ben, on the subject of not punching anyone, what was your prisoner number?
What was my what?
Your prisoner number?
Oh.
90210.
Fuck you, Greg.
This is catchy. I like it.
Yeah, letters are
You can do
BH.
something with that.
About 30 years, it'll come around.
Really catch on.
Dare I ask why you need his prisoner number?
Well, I figure it's something you don't forget, and if you're the only prisoner who escapes, so giving the prisoner number might be enticing, and then we slowly give him
Oh, I see.
more
Nice.
information as the meeting progresses.
Along with the picture
Now,
of Ben.
Damien, that's a brilliant idea.
It's literally textbook.
Well,
That's why you're-
Damien, not all of us read textbooks.
It's on the entrance exam. Okay, you're right.
I didn't take an exam.
She's just that good.
Well, no, there were a lot of things. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the plan is to
Okay.
what? We're gonna fly to Chile, set up a fake meeting with him to trade lots of money for a highly volatile, and hope that we win the bidding nonetheless.
By mentioning Ben's name.
By mentioning Ben's name as kind of
The
our
picture.
leverage.
Um,
Ben is not going to show in any way except to sneak in the back door, revisit his hidey hole, get his smokes, and be there to kill him when it's all said and done.
I'm the backup plan. Oh, and you get pictures of my bruised abs.
Oh. Okay.
Those can make money even beyond this.
Oh, Benjamin. Well, at least we know how to fund this endeavor.
I mean, taking a page out of Berlin. If I have to go to the meeting, why don't we just make up a backstory?
A tragic backstory?
No, like a regular one.
My real one is pretty tragic. I grew up in a cave.
I actually graduated from MIT.
Wow.
I can actually use cesium-137.
Wow.
Well,
La-di-da.
Yeah, 138. Sorry.
It's like,
No, what
I
he's
was like,
talking
also
about.
139, but not 138.
Oh, yeah.
That is just
Yeah,
right out.
definitely.
I skipped
Listen, I don't know
it.
your made-up isotopes, Greg.
I took a left at 135. It's like,
But if we just forge some documents and make me look like not a spy and an actual scientist,
You don't look like a spy, Damien.
thank you.
It's true. I
I
have a
didn't
feeling
possess
that will
it,
be a
no.
lot easier than planned.
I just worry.
What kind of scientist would use such a chemical?
I mean, I have a master's degree in science, so
What about
I am a scientist.
That's a broad master's.
Science.
and science masters?
he's a sciencey guy.
It
He's
was
a sciencey guy.
the 60s, Greg.
He's
Okay.
a sciencey guy.
But if they ask you what your master's in, please don't say science.
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 I had a quadruple master's in all of the sciences, and therefore I have a master's in science.
I think there are more
I
than
stopped. I didn't want to go to a doctorate. No, there's not, Stasi.
Doctorate of Sciences.
that way, man.
Oh,
That's the thing you should know.
we make you pose as what, a Russian scientist? Stasi is actually Russian.
No, just a regular scientist. Like I actually
What
have a
makes you
degree
so
from-
regular?
because I'm a regular person from America with an actual degree from MIT.
This
I
is
don't
all-
have to pose very much.
This is all well and good, Damien, but why would a regular scientist with a master's degree want cesium-138?
Why did dozens of them want it in the 50s to blow up
Okay, wait.
Japan?
Once more, I don't like to step on what is obviously your areas of expertise here, but what if, and follow me here, Vivian and Stasi, if you're the arms dealers, you probably don't know a whole lot about the cesium-138, so you hire Damien, MIT scientist
Oh, I
who has
see.
no affiliation with the underworld, to come down here and verify that it's actually cesium-138 and that Castillo's not being a big prick and trying to run something over on you. It makes you look more credible that you don't trust him and he doesn't trust you. That's more criminal underworldy shit right there. And then you guys come off looking like you know what you're doing, working for whoever the shadowy person, Mr. or Mrs. Darkness, is behind everybody here.
That's the name.
Yes, it's official.
Said it. Yep.
I like this, Benjamin. I like this very much. Who, in fact, are we working for, though? Who is our head honcho? Because I don't know if you've ever done an actual arms deal or illegal dealing, but usually there is the money handler, the muscle, I point to Stasi, and you're right, the scientist or the expert, we'll call them, on whatever it is being traded. I handle money. He handles sciences. She handles the muscle. But we all must be hired by a single person, somebody he believes would want this. That's
Let's
the
just
person.
say, yeah, that person can't be anybody that needs to, as long as the money's good. If we have to kind of allude to somebody, why don't we allude to our people that were working in the cell in East Germany? They're no longer in the picture, but nobody knows that. You know, if they think that there's multiple avenues that the commies are taking to get to America.
All right, this is viable.
And yes, Stasi is the muscle. Yes, Damien is the mind. And yes, Vivian, you are the money. So, Miss Moneypenny, shall we?
I think we shall.
I have a question. It's not really a question. I have a general statement. I just don't like leaving Ben all alone. I know he is very quiet.
I agree with you, but he did not, want anybody there for his trip back down memory lane.
We have our watches, and I'll be within the vicinity. Listen, nobody has expressed interest with holding my hand up until this point of our relationship. I will be around. I just can't be seen because I'm too pretty for Castillo. You will remember my face.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
can I be somebody's girlfriend?
Yes, you may.
That's believable.
Oh, you mean with a man? Okay.
Oh. Yes.
Whatever.
We'll dance afterwards again, Stasi.
Okay. If by dance you mean
Are you
yes.
just trying to see everyone with their shirt off?
What?
I have seen everyone with their shirt off. You just don't know it.
Why?
You were sleeping.
Okay.
Okay, time to go.
So we begin working. Can we get how do I don't know. You do the thing, the communication thing.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm clear about the plan. So, because we need to set up mission points here. For those of you who are new to this, the way the system works is that once they've talked through the plan, and I think they basically have, we go through, I assign mission points based on certain elements of the plan, and then we begin counting down, and they lose a mission point for use every certain amount of time. This looks like we will have about, I believe we were saying we were going from 10 to 1, so we will have about an hour and a half, which means that we will do this probably about every 15 minutes. We will lose a mission point, I think. So you have to move a little more. No, I mean, you've been moving at the right pace so far, but I mean, going forward, you'll have to do that. The mission points are used to affect die rolls. So all of these have expertise in something. Ben is an expert as a shade, so stealth things are his deal. Those are the number of dice that he can roll is 5. Stasi is the heavy, so she is a combat specialist and thus can roll 5 when combat is involved. Vivian is the grifter, which means that she can do stuff for disguise and acting and improv and things of that kind, and that's 5 dice there. And last but certainly not least, Damien is the tech, and so when he has a technical thing that he needs to put together, like figuring out a way to keep everyone from being blown to Kingdom Come, he can roll 5 dice for that. Mission points allow him to add dice to that number based upon the stuff that he's doing when risks are taken. So, with that said, you're going to fly to Chile. You're going to set up this meeting with Hector Castillo. You're going to go in and basically set it up by saying that you have information on Ben. Once there, you will offer money to be able to get this cesium. In the meantime, while you were doing this, Ben is going to sneak into the old cell and be ready to be able to eliminate Hector until, as a backup plan, so to speak. Well, the backup plan, I suppose, if everything goes wrong, but you are planning to kill him anyway, was my impression, because you need to figure out how to get rid of him regardless. Have I got that right? Oh, and last thing is Vivian and Stasi are the arms dealers. Damien is... Vivian's the arms dealer, Stasi was the bodyguard, and Damien was the scientist that Vivian hired. Correct? Okay.
Yeah, I say arms dealer, but yeah, basically the trader.
Okay.
Because we're trading for is the cesium 138.
Yeah. So arms trader, let's say.
Trade, yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll say 1 mission point for the trading info on Ben. 2 mission points for Ben sneaking into the old cell. We will say 1 point for the Vivian and Stasi idea, and the Damien is the scientist. So I think we're going to go here with 4 mission points that you folks will have. That will work out, I think, nicely. So you will have 4 mission points, and we'll start the timer in just a minute. Before we get there, just one sort of point of question here. So, Damien, you're going to be the scientist, Vivian, Stasi doing their thing. And the gamer is going to inspire you, Damien, and what that means is that you will get a chance to roll a risk check twice and take the higher of the 2 results. Thank you, gamer. Good stuff, man. So, Damien, you have been inspired by your knowledge of MIT. This is what happens when you're a master of science. You don't, like...
I know. I've been that my whole life.
There's no need to specialize. In the 60s, no one specialized. Everyone just had knowledge of everything. That's the way it worked. So, okay, so I think that works. The only question I have is, have you folks decided how you're going to get, if you do manage to figure out where the cesium is and you do all that stuff, have you figured out how you're going to get Hector to the place that Ben is? Or Ben, are you going to figure that out when you're there?
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out while I'm there. If the cesium is not being held at the prison, then we will do, obviously, what we do best, as shown in last episode, improvise, which we are
That
just
never
experts.
happens.
Right. So,
Worst case scenario, I'll get him to give me a tour of the facility. Come on.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to give a pretty girl a tour of their prison?
well, I mean, if you're buying the stuff, you have to see it. You have to see the stuff.
And
I mean,
yeah. I bet he won't bring it outside either.
I mean, Damien, just don't touch it.
I hope he doesn't bring it outside.
It'd be a hell of a show and tell.
Yeah, I can just Damien. United States out of danger.
Oh my god. Okay.
Are we still doing the photo shoot before we go?
Oh yes, Benjamin.
You want to, don't you?
Yep.
It sure would be helpful.
Let's see what you got.
Okay. I beat him up, but I avoid his perfect face. I avoid his perfectly chiseled face. I just beat him up.
Okay, so you beat him up in the abs. Now, did you say, Ben, that you needed to get your knuckles bruised? So are you, like, occasionally blocking it so as to bruise your knuckles?
Right here.
Yeah, I'm occasionally blocking, but maybe a block slips, and there's just a kind of like a straight, like a straight block dips a bit, and I might, if we're trading blows back and forth here, it's the heat of battle. You never know, so I might even forearm punch or something in there where I'm blocking aggressively.
I could accidentally break his nose.
This would be the shortest session of all time. It's like, well, all of the team is dead, and this is what
We killed each other.
we killed each other.
No. I get good bruises without the lot of impact below.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and Ben, your knuckles are bruised in part because as you sort of bang into, accidentally, slip and hit Stasi's abs. I mean, they're just like iron, right? So it's just auto bruise, like instantaneously bruise. But you two beat.
Good.
Yeah, you two sort of all beat each other up. It's a nice sore kind of, whew. You've been through a car wash a little bit, wha-bam, wha-bam. Like, you're good. You're set.
Ben's a bit of a poser, Stasi's abs are for steel. Ben's abs are for feel. So.
Yes, they feel very soft and delicate, like a satin towel.
So after bruising Ben's velvet abs.
Let's get that on a t-shirt real quick.
Ben's velvet abs. That would be a good inside joke. I love it.
Don't make me make a Valentine's Day card.
It'd be good stuff. Oh man! All right. So you do this. Take
Photoshop
photos.
Greg's head on a buff dude.
You take photos appropriately, and prepare yourselves to head down to Chile. Okay. So when you get to, we fast forward here, let's say a few days as you've landed in a relatively nearby local airfield, and the four of you, before splitting off before you get to the center, the front of the prison, head in this direction. As you're going, one thing you notice, Ben, is that the sort of circumstances have not been kind to the villages surrounding. They were always run down, and as I mentioned, the villages were not always in great shape based upon their relationship with Castillo. And you also notice that in addition to them not being more run down, they also seem to be larger and seem to run closer to the prison than you remember. There seem to be more people. These villages have some kind of tent cities in some cases set up, so they have kind of people leading up, not quite to the prison walls, but leading a lot closer. So as you drive along in this sort of dirt road, you notice a lot of people sort of staring out of the tents at you. Children who look very hungry and sort of dirty clothing, if any, sort of staring out at you as you drive along in your Jeep, which leads you all the way to the close to the front of the prison. As you look out, you can see that the guard towers, although the sort of corners of the towers are not manned. Right above the front doors to the prison, there are two guard towers that are manned. And as you come up to the thing, you sort of like get out of the Jeep. And Ben, I assume you bailed out before you got to that spot.
Yes.
How are you getting into, or what direction are you aiming to hit the prison? You can see where your cell is. It's on the eastern side, if I understood the number that you gave correctly.
Correct. And Ben would know how to get back into the prison, whether it be it's not occupied or not in service, so it's not going to be as hard to get back in as it was. He's going to go around, and whatever side is the least patrolled or the least active or the least traffic, has the least amount of traffic on it.
Okay.
He pull back, but he's going to let the other group engage Castillo or Castillo's men before he makes his move to get inside.
Okay.
And I'm going to hold back and see if by 11:44 we haven't used a point. I've got one I'm going to use.
Okay. All right, with that said, then that means that Stasi, Vivian, and Damien will walk up to the front doors, and you can see the two guards with what look like sniper rifles have their rifles trained on you as you come up. And one of them says, "What are you doing down there?"
We are here for trade.
"This isn't a shop. Get the hell out of here."
We have already made contact. You turn away good money. I'm sure that Hector would not like to hear this.
And there's a pause, and you see the guard sort of whisper to the man next to him, and then says, "What is the name?"
Name?
That's what they said, yes. What is your name?
Oh, my name? Yes, I am Vivian.
So he says, "Vivian." He says, "All right," and he turns around, walks away from the side. In the other tower, the other sniper rifle is still trained on all of you. A couple of minutes pass, and then the one comes back and says, "All right, stand clear of the door." And the doors open, and you see standing in front of a group of 4 heavily armed soldiers, all carrying these, not snipers, but automatic rifles, all trained at you. One standing in the front, still with his uniform, although not with the hat that I showed you in the picture, but is very clearly Hector Castillo. He is a rather distinguished-looking man, actually. He has sort of salt, pepper, gray hair now, and has kind of a beard, goatee, which was not evident in the original sort of picture that you saw. But just as you're sort of looking carefully, you can see that, especially Vivian, you can see that this is run down a little bit. The uniform the buttons aren't as shiny as they used to be. You know, it's a little dingy. It's not something anyone would necessarily notice unless it's just like this uniform hasn't been, polished relentlessly.
Yes, the upkeep.
Hasn't been worn in anger, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he says, he looks at the 3 of you and says, "My men tell me you have something to trade."
We do, in fact, have something to trade. I am Vivi. This is my muscle. And this, well, he is my scientist.
And he sort of looks both of the muscle and the scientist up and down, and he says, "I see. And you've come to me with your little band to trade something?" Perhaps you may have mistook the prison for the villages which surround it. We don't really have things to trade, you see.
That is not what my husband heard.
What do you mean? What husband?
His name is not important. I deal in his business affairs, but you see, he has grave interest in your, what is it? Cesium 138.
And he sort of, his eyes widen for a minute, and he sort of steps back a little bit, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I am sorry if I have caught you off guard, but I have one other thing. Well, we have it in custody, which you might also have a grave interest in. Would you be so kind as to show him pictures?
And I look over to her.
With
Okay.
great glee, I pull out the pictures and I show him.
And so at first he looks at it and he kind of doesn't seem to have a reaction, and then he sort of looks more closely, and his eyes get very wide, and he says, the hell is this? Where did you get this?
Oh, I took this.
It's true. After she broke his ribs.
He sort of looks at you and he says, bring them, he says to his guards, and he turns around and like marches off. You can see from the stiffness of his back that he's like not happy, and sort of shocked all at the same time. The 4 guards kind of surround the 3 of you, and kind of give you the like, please go forward into the place, basically.
That we
Okay, so assuming that you follow, he leads you into this central hall here. You can see this number 1 right here. And he leads you into the central hall. The towers that I mentioned are actually here, left, and then here to the right. But there used to be, you can see that there were other places where there were towers up front, but those are not occupied now. As you walk in, all of you notice that there are a couple things like a desk and chairs and stuff like that, but a lot of this seems, again, sort of dusty, run down, like it hasn't been used very much. And he, as he goes into this front area, sort of looks over his shoulder to make sure you're following. And then he heads into this room, which is the next room over, and then into this central location. Now, when you get into this big center room, this central room is a large room that has a bunch of cells surrounding it, basically. You can actually see some of them listed there. And the odd thing about it is that he has a table, basically like a desk, that's right in the middle. He has a rather worn-looking leather office chair behind the desk. And from his vantage point, you can all see that he could literally see every one of the cells surrounding him from that one central vantage point. So he gets into the seat behind, and he kind of leans back, having apparently regained some of his composure, and puts his feet up on the desk, and he says, so, I don't suppose you found that one in the newspaper. You don't really understand who that man is, do you?
Understanding is what it is we do. So, if you mean, do I know that he was once prisoner here? Yes. If you mean, do I know that you have personal vendetta with him? Yes. This is why I bring it to you.
He kind of looks you up and down again and says, all right, let's say that I believe you. Just the fact that you have this man, what do you propose?
I propose that you sell us this cesium-138.
You want me to sell you that for one man?
No. I give you man as trust of trade. We are good for money and man.
He kind of glances. You can see, Stasi in particular, you notice that there's one person that is standing next to him. So there are four that I told you about. There's one of the four that he seems a little different from the other three in that he seems to stand closest to Castillo. Castillo kind of exchanges glances with him. Like if you had to guess, this is like his right hand man, and this guy is a big dude.
Hey.
You can sort of tell that he's got he's he didn't skip leg day. This guy is kind of a big guy.
Nice.
And every so often he kind of Castillo looks at him and he says, "All right, Ramirez, you stay. The rest of you, get out." And so the other three kind of nod and they leave. And Ramirez, who's still holding his automatic rifle, takes a couple of steps back and kind of has his eyes fixed on you with an appraising look. And you notice, Stasi, that he seems to be a little more concentrated on you as apparently the physical threat that he sees. And so
I will wink at him very subtly as I do all things.
Right? So he
That's my wink. Good job, guys. That's exactly
he
how
staggers back from the force of the wink. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't do that.
That's all I want, though.
Yeah, but no, he sort of he kind of looks at you, and you can see sort of a small sardonic grin, kind of like it seems like kind of a patronizing, like, listen, you're not that big a deal, is what it seems like.
You go and get it.
Yep. And so he sits back there, and so Castillo, with his feet up on the desk, says, "All right then, Vivi, you say you have money to trade, and I assume you'd want to be able to see this material you claim that I have. And you," and he looks at you, Damien, and he says, "You're supposed to be some sort of scientist who can do what? Determine that I have the material?"
Yes, that is exactly what I'm here to do.
And he says, "What exactly do you get out of it? For that matter, what about her?" He kind of jerks his head over at you, Stasi. He's like, you just pay them some money and you buy their silence?
I also got to play around with this one. That was pretty fun for me.
And he sort of smiles and he says, "I like someone who understands the true meaning of enjoyment. I did enough of that with him when he was with me, you understand?"
Oh, I get you perfectly.
And he kind of nods his head and he says, "All right, let us say that I agree to trade a portion, let us say, of the cesium. You are not the only one who might be interested in buying this material if I have it. You would have to outbid them, of course, although I admit that the additional incentive is intriguing. But you see, I am, well, only a humble ex-commandant, and my resources are somewhat limited. Therefore, I must make sure that I am adequately recompensed for what I possess."
Can you not make more? We are interested in buying your entire stock.
And he sort of, without looking, kind of looks at his fingernails and says, "You couldn't afford it. Not even for that man."
Are you sure?
He looks up at you, he's like, "All right, make me an offer then."
I was more interested in what you had priced.
He kind of looks you up and down and says, "At the moment, the price is set at $5 million.
I see.
And of course, 5 million, that is only an opening number. When more dealers find out, I imagine their numbers will rise over time. There are many who would like something to put them on a par with some of the other nations that like to wave around their nuclear weapons as reflections of their their adulthood, if you know what I mean."
Oh, I do. How about I offer you 10 million today? And Benjamin.
He says,
No bidding, no offers.
He says, 10 million. You somehow have the resources to do this. And how do I not know that you are simply trying to get me to acknowledge the existence of this thing? How exactly do I know that you have this money to give?
Would you like down payment?
He sort of leans his head down. You can see he's kind of enjoying this conversation. He says, "Yes, I would."
So we had already spoke with them about funding this project,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Okay. All right.
All I need is a phone.
And there is, in fact, a phone on the desk, and he says, "You're welcome to use it."
I pick it up, type in, I guess, whatever I need, which I'm sure is like some CIA number.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually, we're talking rotary, right? Yep, exactly.
Right. Oh, yeah, I guess it's rotary. There's not even a bunch yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So, okay, so you do the rotary thing, and are you actually, by the way, dialing for like the specific, like that actual number, or is it just like a fake, like?
No, I'm gonna actually dial up the C. I mean, they know this is going down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna dial them up and actually, I will play it off as I'm talking to somebody else, but I'm calling them to make them.
I mean, I would assume it's a setup dummy number.
Yeah, it's like a setup number,
Right.
And I'm guessing as soon as the line goes
It's the
live,
hotline of the White House. It's actually
The White House.
Hi, Mr. President. Yeah, thanks.
Hit the button.
All right, you can have $20.
Yeah. As soon as I hear it like click and the line picks up,
Darling, it's time for you to transfer funds.
and I kind of cover the line.
Would you like to give account number?
And he sort of, again, glances over at Ramirez, who you can just see almost imperceptibly shakes his head no. And he says, the account number I can give some. Then he kind of looks up at Ramirez again and he says, I'll figure that out in a minute. Do you have any of this money that you can wire to me right at this moment? Is that what you're saying?
I have better idea. Darling, put it in separate account. I give him account number.
and I'll close it and I write down what is probably like a holding account that gets used by the CIA all the time for this
Okay.
kind of thing.
All right.
And I write it down. I say,
This is now yours.
And he sort of takes it and looks at this number. He says, very interesting indeed. I like the way you think, Vivi. If that is, I can actually trust you. Vivian, at this point, I'd like you to take a risk. So we're going to see whether all of what you just did convinced him. Ben, I'm going to come to you in just a second. So you're going to be doing a risk. Now, this is, right now you've got, you'll be doing this based on the grifting. So this is your 5 dice.
Okay.
Do you want to use a mission point or not? You're at just about at the deadline for losing
Okay.
one. So you could if you want, but it's up to you. And remember, there's 2 ways to use mission points, by the way. You could just use it to just add a die, which means you'd be rolling 6 dice, or you could use it to, like, guarantee this works. That's your, like, one-time only, you know...
Oh, my special effect?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to take the special effect and make anyone believe anything. I'm going to make him believe that this money is in an account in its entirety and totality.
Got it.
That the only part of this that needs to be completed is delivering him Benjamin to him.
Got it. Okay. So he smiles, and he says, all right. I suppose that we may have the beginnings of a deal. Of course, it'll be something that will take a little while to transfer. It is a little bit unstable, you understand. Now this brings us to Ben. So pause, freeze frame. While this has been going on, freeze frame like that. While this has been going on, Ben, you have been sneaking back into your cell. Now, your particular cell, one of the reasons that you were able to escape it is if you look at the floor plan, you'll notice that there's actually windows that reached outwards, yeah, I use English, looked outwards towards the outer sort of grounds, right? And those were supposed to be the more secure cells, actually, because you were known even back then as having a certain reputation. But the reason that you were able to find them is that this prison, which is very old, was actually made out of a kind of ancient sandstone, which on the particular level where you were was subject to dampness. And so over time, with care, you could actually figure out a way to kind of whittle out a portion, kind of not exactly dig, but kind of like gradually scrape away a portion of the wall. Think of, Shawshank Redemption accelerated like 100 times or whatever, right? So this took you actually a good 6 months to be able to dig through the wall in such a way that you were finally actually able to escape. And as I said, you were the only one who actually ever did that. So as you're coming back around to kind of get back up into your cell, you are sort of, kind of going the reverse route, if I understand what you told me you wanted to do. So you're kind of going back into the spot, is that right? Like how you originally came there?
Yeah. He's also going to be dressed like a local. He's going to have, the Chilean outfit on, as far as even with the heat and everything. Everything is a wide-brimmed hat for the sun. He's going to have himself covered as much as he can from above and from the sides, provided he's able to keep his head just down just a bit, fitting directly in with what we now have as a village that is encroaching on the former prison.
Yep.
He's keeping that type of motif. He's not wearing he has his black suit with him, but he's currently not wearing it.
Okay. So you position yourself as accordingly. So you're sort of dressed that way, and you managed to pull through. Now, the thing that had made your plan particularly brilliant is that it was actually not directly out of your cell. It was basically going southeast through the cell next to it. So you basically cut through 2 cells, basically, is the way it works. So as you kind of pull yourself back up, you're kind of working through, you actually see some of the marks that you had made. Like every month, you would make a mark underneath to see how far you had gotten with your little tunnel. And you can see the marks passing as you're kind of going back into it. But just as you're about to pull yourself up into the your original cell, right? Just as you're about to pull yourself up into your original cell, you hear an odd sound coming from the cell underneath which your tunnel goes. So as I said, it goes between. Let me pull up the map here. So it. Freehand it like this. So it goes, from here out that way. Okay. So you see where I've made that arrow?
Yep.
Okay. So just basically as you're sort of, coming back up, obviously the tunnel does not seem to have been disturbed very much, but you notice that there's a strange sound coming from here, basically from right underneath, right above where your tunnel is, in the cell next to where your old one used to be. It's a strange sound.
Okay. Can I peek into the window of, what is that, 22 or 20, whatever that one is, the one just south of my cell? Can I peek into the window of
Not
that
from
one
the tunnel, because the tunnel goes underneath it. You would need to get into your cell and then basically you'd either have to go back down the tunnel and then kind of look over at it, look at because you're underneath it basically right now. You're underneath the room, or you would need to get into your cell and then figure out a way to get out of your cell and look in the window outside of that cell. So in other words, your tunnel goes underneath the cell right now.
Gotcha. It's like in the floor of the cell.
Right.
So the first thing Ben would do is he would go to his former cell, see if it's occupied, and see if the door is open. If it's still a cell, it doesn't help him. He needs to find another way in. But if, being a prison that's no longer in service and all the doors probably being tied together in a certain way, he's going to check and see if they're open.
So the doors, in fact, are not open. But it doesn't look like it's just a cell either. The sort of dirty straw and the bedpan that you remember, the bucket that sort of served as the way to relieve yourself over the course of many months, all that has been taken away. In fact, this room seems to be largely kind of swept. But there is a strange thing here on the floor of the cell, which is what looks like some kind of a mattress or something like that. And there was never mattresses in here before. It was just a bunch of straw. There's a mattress just lying on the ground here. And now that you're actually in your cell, you can hear, because the walls were never that thick, at least between cells, you can hear the sound, and it sounds something like... Sounds like a human sound.
I pay it no mind. No, I'm just...
I ignore it entirely.
Cold-hearted.
Ben will pull himself up, and at this point, he'll begin to unbutton his shirt, revealing the black suit beneath it, as he will go over and kind of feel in one of the cracks of the sandstone, reach in until he finds a semi-crushed pack of cigarettes, pull them out, and he'll tap one out, light the stale tobacco, non-filtered stale tobacco, as he is smoking and looking around, and he'll check the door to see if it's open.
Okay. The door is open.
Okay. So, yeah, he'll just, take his pants off with the black suit underneath it, push the suit back down into the tunnel, and he'll look around the cell again, kind of pat one area of the wall that Andy deframed, and peek and see if there's anybody out there.
Okay. So when you look out, excuse me, of the cell, so these cells are, the sort of door here is connected, so the cell goes 23, 15. So the door now seems to lead to the next cell. There actually never used to be a door there at all, but apparently there's been one added since then. So that actually leads right next to the cell right next to it. So like where's my colors again? Yeah, let's make this like this. So basically right here, like that. And so it leads to a cell and or to another room. And in that room, you can hear the murmur of conversation. The murmur of conversation seems to be, it sounds voices that sound very familiar to you, possibly Vivian talking with Castillo. You can kind of hear his voice. And thank you for the host. And as you are sort of, kind of hearing that conversation, you can hear out here the sound of whatever that is, the sniffling, crying sound maybe, is not very audible out here. So it's only audible in the room next to you, basically. Next to your cell, I mean.
Okay. Just to see what's going on, Ben's going to get close to the wall.
Okay.
And he's to the shared wall with the room with the crying in it.
Yep.
And he's tap.
Immediately the crying stops, like, and then there's just, you listen, you just hear like a breathing, like someone trying not to. You still hear kind of sniffling, but it's as if someone is trying not to make a sound.
Ben will whisper in very good Chilean accented Spanish.
How's that go?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do it. What is your name?
And there's just sort of silence for a minute, and then you hear kind of quietly, Jose. It sounds like it's a high voice. Maybe a child's voice. Jose. Who's this? Who is this?
Hector.
He says, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make any sound. I'm sorry. And you can see like the voice is getting more distant, as if they're kind of reeling back from the wall.
Yeah, he gets up and moves into the shared door that leads towards the voices of his friends. And there's no other exit out of this room. I can't go towards the west, right? That leads outside.
Right. There is, though, where you see this little stairwell here. There is a stairwell, which, so, like right here, there's a little open area, even though it doesn't show there, that leads to this stairwell. And the stairwell leads up to a door, which it looks like kind of like a cell door, which leads into this room. So basically there's a set of stairs that goes up and then not very far and then leads to this room.
Okay. So I'm not sure how much you're going to allow me to do this, Greg, but in the pack of smokes, there would be a little shard of mirror, a little shard of glass. And as he pulls that out, he is going to, before he enters any room, he's going to take the glass and move it out so he can look into the reflection to see if there is anyone occupying the rooms as he moves into it. While he was in here, this was the only way for prisoners to communicate with one another whenever they were in their individual cells. So
let's have you take a risk and see how much of that actually was the case.
Sure.
This could be you can give me actually wait a minute. Do I want to make this a shade thing? Let me
Fixer?
Find out how to do this. Yeah. So which is 3 for you, I believe?
Fixer's 4.
Oh, 4, okay. Yep, Fixer then.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Where's my... What the hell happened to my dice roller? Dice roller. Show yourself. Oh, that's because I have... Actually, I don't know why it's not showing me. Okay, so 18. Okay. Yeah, so you... So you reveal as you do that, indeed has exactly what you said it had. Sorry, I'm. Give me just a second. I want to make sure that I actually get this dice roller up and working. I don't know why it's not.
Sure.
Firefox. There we go.
Ben's just sitting there holding his mirror out, checking the other rooms that used to be prior cells, and he's smoking the stale cigarettes. And it's decidedly delicious. It's a smoke. The last time he had one of these smokes, he was an incarcerated prisoner, and now he is a man that broke back into the cell. So he's not wiser, but he is older and freer than he was before.
I dig it. Okay, I can't get it to I don't know. I'll worry about it later. Okay. So with this 18, it is indeed in there, and so you're able to basically use the mirror to kind of look into the room without making yourself revealed, more or less, right? That's what I understand you're trying to do.
Absolutely, yeah. Anytime he enters a room, he's just going to kind of check with the mirror first to kind of clear it, make sure it's not occupied by a soldier or somebody sleeping or somebody being exceptionally quiet.
Okay. You see inside this room, now you only catch a glimpse of it because obviously you don't have a full view of it, but you catch what seems to be a young boy who seems to be sort of shivering and is sort of in the corner of the room. And the room seems odd because it seems to have like, it doesn't look exactly like a jail cell. He's wearing clothing that looks like village clothing, but it doesn't seem to fit the rest of the sort of the room even that you just came from, and certainly not anything you remember from your time in the prison. But he's sort of shivering in a corner, kind of like with his head just kind of rocking back and forth with his head between his knees.
Okay, yeah, he's going to leave him for now and just mark and make note of the fact that Jose is in that room. He needs to get a lay of this area and hopefully find out where there may be some additional he wants points on and get as many eyes on the people that aren't in the room with his friends. He wants to mark locations, hopefully find where the cesium is before it's actually delivered or in the process. So he's going to go out scouting. And Arv, what we can do too is if you're having problems with it, we can just type in chat what we roll.
I actually got it working, so we're cool.
Okay.
I figured out. I need to learn the understanding of layers and how one layer is higher than another, meaning you can't see a lower layer. Yeah, so someday I'll understand spatial relations when I grow up, and that'll be a good time for all of us. So anyway, but thank you though. Okay, so you will do that. One thing I want to note, by the way, well. So you're just doing this from a little bit of a distance, though, right? Using the mirror, so you're not like right on top of the door that leads to that place.
Yeah, he's doing it like around the corner. So he's The easiest way to do something like that is to be either higher than line of sight or lower than line of
That's what I
sight. So
figured.
he's keeping out of what would be the like abdomen to forehead level of anybody's gaze.
Okay. In that case, I would like you to make... I'm going to give you a shade roll on this, please. Give me a shade roll, please.
22.
Ben, the room where the kid is shivering feels cold to you.
Yeah. Kid's a mule.
Freeze frame. While you're there, I'm going to jump back to the center room. Vivian, you have been chatting with Hector, and he just told you this thing about, I like the way you think, okay, this is great, we're going to get this stuff, and now we need to see what happens next. And so he says, all right, once, he's like, now that I believe that you are who you say you are, I also need to make sure that you don't have extra motives for doing what you say. So I need to do a little bit of a, we would call it a check into backgrounds, you might say. For example, and he looks at you, Damien, with his arms folded, he says, in my former life, I was something of a engineer. Tell me, what exactly is the greatest risk from something like cesium-138?
From cesium-138, it is water soluble. It is easily dispersed into the atmosphere via the groundwater, the ground itself, skin contact, aerosol, etc.
He says, yes. And its particular danger in terms of volatility? What makes it at risk of explosion?
Heat, combustion, but by itself very little. Mostly when it is combined with other isotopes, it becomes dangerous. It's not good to get on your skin, but it only lasts for about 70 days or so on human skin, at least also on soft tissues, at least.
He nods and he says, very good. You've proven that you can actually read the science textbook. Still, though, I wonder what would happen if you were actually put to the test. Ramirez. And then Ramirez kind of looks down and he says, perhaps you would like to show the scientist here a little bit of the cesium itself. See if he can explain how best to manage this. And Ramirez kind of smiles. It's not a very pleasant smile. And he nods and he gestures over to the eastern side of this big central room, which is right here. And gestures as if waiting for you to head in that direction.
By your leave. And he begins to follow him.
Okay. So, Ramirez wants, like, you in front of him very clearly. To, be in front.
Yeah, he gets that and eventually walks
Gotcha. So, as you're going in front, you notice, Stasi, that there are now two more soldiers who have basically appeared at these doors, one here and one here. They're not doing anything threatening, but you can see that they're also armed, and they've also got their sort of weapons trained on you as Damien goes over to this place. Okay, so as we get here, there's a door right outside this little staircase thing. And as you get here, Ramirez says, one moment. And he pulls a large ring of iron keys from his belt and places the iron key into the lock and opens it and opens up this metal door. Now,
I make eyes at Stasi to note the keys.
Yeah, I'm watching them walk away. Ramirez, he has a good friend, so I like to watch.
Ben, so as you were standing there, you hear footsteps and then this click click, and then you gradually slowly begin to see the door open. What do you want to do?
With a 22 shade, I'm assuming that I was part of the shadows, would I remain hidden from somebody coming from that direction?
No,
Or is
because the
this gonna-
shade roll was actually to be able to detect what was going on in the room on the other side.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yep.
So we have crisscrossing stairwell going up. Somebody is coming in. I'm assuming that they're going to be going up. That's Ben's guess, because
Okay.
if his idea is right here, something in either the room where the boy is or the room below where the boy is, or around where the boy is going to be the refrigeration unit keeping this stuff cold. So he is going to jump back into the hole that leads back to his cell, the reverse of the southerly arrow there,
Right.
the southerly blue. And or I could just probably do that, which would help out a little bit. And he's just going to creep back up in there and put his back against the wall and use his mirror to look.
Okay. I won't make you do a risk for that because you can actually see that happening. So you crawl, so you do exactly what you said, and you see the door open, and Damien comes in. And indeed, Damien Ramirez asks you, he says, up the stairs. And at the top of the stairs, you can see there is a door leading somewhere. It's not a large flight of stairs, but it leads up maybe half a level, something like that. You're muted, Mike.
All right, you're right, I am. Up the stairs. Why would you have it upstairs? Why wouldn't you put it in the basement where it is naturally colder? Whatever. I will go upstairs.
Okay.
And he begins to walk up the stairs.
Okay, as you go upstairs, Damien, you will also hear a strange noise coming from the room to which you were going. It sounds like sort of sniffling or kind of like crying, weeping, something.
He glances down the rail at the noise.
No, it's in
and
front of
then-
you.
Oh, it's
the
in front
room.
of me.
It's the room in front of you. Yeah.
Oh,
From which
yeah,
it's
then
coming.
Then he glances towards the room and then kind of looks back at Ramirez.
And
Is there
Ramirez,
something I should be concerned with?
Ramirez says, "All you need to be concerned with is what's inside the room. You'll see when you get there."
That is enough for me. He begins to walk up the stairs.
Okay. So when he gets up to the stairs, Ramirez says, says, "All right, you should be able to open it. It's not locked." And he gives you this wolfish grin.
What does that mean?
And he says, "Just open it."
I don't like the way you said that. And he grabs a piece of his shirt and puts it on the doorknob and opens it.
Okay, it's a good thing you did that because as you touch the metal doorknob, through your shirt, you can feel the bitter cold of the knob. And as you open the door, you feel as if you're looking into the center of a freezer. This whole room actually has like what looks almost like frost on the side of it. There's all sort of like frost and snow type of, like ice basically all around the side. You can see that there are huge blocks of ice that have been set up all along the corner, or all around the walls, sort of like leaning up. You can see that there is some kind of thing in the back which looks like it might be a generator, which has these huge coils that have little icicles kind of hanging from them, like huge compressor coils, basically, if you had to guess, like a really powerful, large air conditioner relative to, the room size. And in the corner, shivering, dressed in sort of village clothing, with a loose blanket over his shoulders, is a young boy, maybe 11 or 12. And strapped to the boy's back is a backpack of some kind, which seems to be insulated in some way. You can't tell exactly what, but it looks as if it's like very heavy, like a metallic thing or something like that, which is on his backpack. And and Ramirez says, "I've brought you a visitor, Jose. You should be happy." And Jose, and you notice that Jose is he's like sitting on the ground, but you notice that he's back from the wall, and you can see that as he's kind of sitting there, he's sort of not leaning against anything, like he's very clearly not leaning back against the wall or doing anything like that. And Ramirez says, "All right, get up, get up." And Jose pulls himself up to his feet. He's kind of bent over a little bit under the weight of whatever it is that he's carrying on his back. And Ramirez, with a grin, says, "Perhaps you'd like to inspect the cesium, Mr. Scientist."
Do you not have tables in Chile?
He says, "Tables are not suitable as extra insurance."
Whatever. Is it in the backpack?
One quick note, Ben, you can't really see what's going on so much because of where they are and where you are, but you can hear the conversation back and forth. So you hear the backpack thing, but you don't. You just see their feet, like from where you're positioned with the with the mirror. But you saw this Jose kid before, obviously. You didn't notice, however, the backpack. That's the first time you've heard of a backpack when Damien mentioned it. So I'm sorry, Damien, what did you say?
He asked if it was in the backpack.
And Ramirez just nods once. He says, "Don't worry, it's actually shielded."
This is a room with a generator and ice cubes and a small child. What would you like me to do? Eyeball the isotope and just guess that it is what it is?
He says,
Do you have a microscope? Do you have any kind of tools here? Is there anything for me to examine this with?
he says,
It's radioactive. Is there a suit for this? Is this your first day on the job?
he sort of grins as you say these things, and he says, "Very smart, Mr. Scientist. But yes, we have something that will prove this to you." And he pulls from his belt what looks like almost like a small, looks kind of like a mini vacuum or some kind. And he hands it to you, and you can see that there's actually a little window on it with some kind of a, has like one of those, oh God, what's the name of it? Like a needle, basically, that kind of rocks back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. Looks almost like a voltometer, but it's not that. And hands it to you, and he says, "Why don't you run that over his backpack, and you'll see what I mean."
That's just going to tell me if this is a radioactive isotope. This is just a Geiger counter.
He says, "That's right, but wait till you see the nature of the radioactivity. Fear not, this is an extremely sensitive counter. It can detect things through insulation. We are in no danger here, so long as things remain inside this room."
Is he inside the room as well?
Yes.
Okay.
He's standing at the door, Ramirez is,
Yeah.
with the door just slightly closed behind him. You get the impression that, like, if the door stayed open for a very long time, it would start to let in heat, but at the moment, like,
Yeah.
it's pretty...
Yeah. He grabs the Geiger counter and he walks over to the kid and, runs it along
The
the
kid
backpack.
looks really, like, freaked out as you do this. This thing, like, jumps off the scale. Like, the needle just, like, pins the minute you put it to his backpack, which tells you two things. One, it's very sensitive, yes, and that's what it's measuring. But two, if this is true, this kid is in incredible danger, and in fact may already have been possibly poisoned by this radiation. Presumably, if this is sensitive, it's not really spreading out into the outer area very much, but this is like, kid's in serious, serious danger. And he looks very, like, again, terrified.
Yeah, he sees the needle red lines and he kind of like puts the clip back in the box and turns back and says, "And how many children do you have here, out of curiosity? Because this one should expire any day."
And the kid sort of, the Jose doesn't, like, looks up and is kind of like shivers, although you wonder if he understands English. And the Ramirez smiles and he says, "There's plenty more where he came from."
I see. So you're using the village then?
He shrugs and he says, "Use? It's putting them to a suitable purpose."
Oh, I understand. And he returns the Geiger counter back to him and says, "Well, this has shown me that this is a very radioactive substance, and I will just have to take your word for it that it is exactly the isotope that we are looking for here."
Side note, by the way, you're pretty confident, Damien, that very little else would produce this kind of reaction. You would guess that's the case. But anyway.
He's just casting...
No, I know. I got you. I
positives,
figured as much, but I just wanted you to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he hands it back to him and says, "Well, then I am as satisfied as I think I'm going to be.
Okay. He says, all right, then you can confirm it. You stay here, Jose. We'll be back for you a little bit later. And Jose, kind of shivering, kind of sits back down again. And Ramirez closes the door behind you, and you walk down the stairs. Now, Ben, you can see Damien, and Damien, presumably you could see Ben. I don't actually know that Damien would know that Ben was there unless Ben went out of his way to tell him that he, indicate that he was there.
So
But
I have a question regarding
Sure.
that. Because Ben seems like a smart guy who plans things. Do we have a general time frame for your incursion, Ben?
For my incursion,
Yeah.
you guys would know that as soon as you entered the building, he was going to make his way in.
Okay.
So I was going to say that, Damien, on your way out, if you were to look over as you're scanning, you would see a slightly smoldering cigarette.
Yeah, I was going to say Damien will at least take a shot in the dark, knowing the spatial reasoning of where the building is. And as he's walking out with Ramirez, he says, and you said it is safe as long as it is inside that room, but how long can it survive inside that pack? Or do you have some other means of carrying it?
And Ramirez kind of shrugs and he says, that's a question for Castillo. I only know how we keep things safe while it is here. How you plan to get this thing out and move it, oh, that is a problem for you, Mr. Scientist.
That is fair. I assume this would be a much bigger operation than what it is here. I will talk to Vivian.
And he nods and then passes out. The door closes behind him into the stairs. So you see Stasi and Vivi and Vivian, the disguised Vivi. You see Damien walk back in. Damien, you have any reaction as you're walking in, like that you want to demonstrate to them? Are you like, kind of like, oh crap reaction, or just sort of like, no problem reaction? Like, what do you?
No, I think Damien just says it.
Okay.
Right now, there's no real. I mean, there's a sense of danger in the fact that everyone here has guns and he doesn't. But there's the guys that were under. He did his job and he walks out of this cell area and says, "Yes, it appears to be the isotope that we have in question strapped to a small Chilean boy. I don't know how we're going to move it out of here, but."
And Castillo smiles and says, "Good. I'm glad you understand that we are both dealing from a position of truth. Trust is so difficult to find these days, isn't it?"
Yes, I guess so.
So, quick note to the team, by the way, we're running about 5 minutes away from another mission point being used. He says, so Castillo says, "All right, so you know that we possess what we have. All we need from you is the money, and then we can proceed to the transfer. As far as how you plan to get it out of here, that is an excellent question, but I assume it is one that you've already assumed you would know how to deal with. Of course, it must be kept cold. I cannot have you take the prison with you, so it'll be up to you to determine the best way to have it safely transferred."
How many units?
And he says, we have only the one unit up there. As to other methods of producing more in the future, Castillo shrugs. He says, "I don't know anything about such things."
Do I believe him that that's the only one they have?
I don't know that you could say for sure, but this does not look like a prison. This doesn't look like a laboratory.
Okay.
It looks like they don't, from what you understood, they didn't have a lot of extra stuff. He just, found the formula and the stuff. It could be that they have other stuff elsewhere, but it would be hard to store based on what I've already described. So,
Okay.
probably not.
And just for, picturing, how many men are in this room?
So right now there are, Ramirez, now that he's back in the room, there are 2 men standing at the far end of the room towards the north. So 2 men standing here and one here with guns.
Okay.
And then there's the Ramirez himself. And then the other guards that he asked to leave went out here somewhere. So you don't see them right now, but you don't know how many he's got besides this. But there's 3 people, if you count Ramirez, there's 3 people in the room plus Castillo.
Cool, since we're like 5 minutes away from using a mission point. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting antsy over here.
And we're sure nobody's gonna see us?
I mean, you know.
Lots of people can see you if there were any in the cells. You don't know who's up there, but as I said, this is kind of exposed to the places around.
Right. So, do we want to... Well, Vivi, all we have to do is make a few calls to figure out what we want to do and how we are going to transport. The money should be available pretty soon, right?
True. I hate to be burdened, but the money will take a full 24 hours before it is ready, and we must secure our transportation methods. You would not happen to have accommodations for us for the evening?
He kind of sits back and kind of looks at you searchingly and says, although I am most anxious to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in my prison, this was a prison, not a hotel. We don't have lots of spaces available. I suppose you could just sleep on the stone floor, but, well, it's not the most comfortable place. There are rats. Difficult, you see. It used to be that I ran things much more cleanly, but I have no resources now to do so. Unfortunate. In its day, we were a model of efficiency.
Oh.
And he licks his lips.
Oh, she says, I would have liked to have seen that. Maybe now that you have funding, you can bring it back to its prime.
He says it would be a valuable thing. Sometimes people do not understand the meaning of order or why it makes a difference. But in any case, at the moment I'd be satisfied seeing my own efforts rewarded at long last.
Yes. Well, we should take a few minutes. Let me call in. We do have one part of our deal that has not been completed.
And he says, if you need to make another phone call, it is, of course, your privilege to do so. And he points to the phone. He says, in the meantime, we will await the answer. But I would ask that we do this more quickly. It is closing in on midday. Time for us to rest. Siesta, you understand. We work so hard here these days. And he and Ramirez sort of chuckle at some inside joke.
I laugh with him. It's funny.
Okay.
Yes. Please, and I motion for the two of them to kind of come with me over towards the phone so that I can make the appropriate phone call and make it look.
Okay. He stands up and walks over to Ramirez. They seem to be talking about something also as you three are chatting. You might have a minute to be able to chat undisturbed. Ben, I'm going to come back to you in a second. So, what do you got?
Well, this is... We have gone as far as we can go. I fear the number of people here, and I do not trust a large one.
Oh no, he is, there is something else going on with him, I can always tell.
Why am I still talking in accent?
Because it's sexy.
Oh, thanks, Dozzy.
You're welcome.
I do not trust him. What did we learn about the backpack that is carrying the content?
It's a shielded backpack. It won't last very long outside.
So the best thing to do is to take down the men here and then call for backup, yeah?
I have a feeling that there's more than the 6 we've seen. The kid is from one of the villages, and I asked him what happens when that kid dies, and he's going to what they do, and they just take more and more from the village. So I think they have more than just the few we have here.
So then, best thing to do is go to nap time and get Ramirez and Castillo alone and pummel answers out of them.
How do we plan to do this? They weren't interested when I offered to stay the night. Should I be more forceful?
I mean, even if we could get them back into that room, it would at least be out of line of sight of the guns, the other guns.
All right. Here's what I will do. This is a large facility. I will play the part and have a tour. Of course, Stasi will not leave my side. Damien, I may be able to convince him to allow you to stay here to wait on our delivery. Benjamin.
Well, the room with the cesium has no windows and one door.
As you're talking,
We could all get there.
as you're talking, the three of you suddenly see, just catch out of the corner of your eye, you see the door silently open, and as quietly as a wisp of smoke on the wind, you see Ben sneak into the room and over to one of the large chests that is around the corner of the room. He opens the chest and takes something from one of them, waves to all of you, and then departs. No one sees him do this because someone used a mission point along with his special ability. He is
Nice.
super uber, like, quiet, shade, silent guy.
I was like, Vivian gets that look on her face again, like
Exactly.
always sneaking in and out.
Always
the
down
middle.
Can we see what he took?
It looked as if there was he had some object in his hand that was a decent size, but you didn't really catch sight of what it was. It's some kind of object, though. It might have had a strap or straps on it.
I pick up the phone and dial, our rotary style CIA number again until it picks up.
Yes, darling, it is time. We need both delivery and pickup.
And I put the phone down and play the part. And I make eye contact with Damien and Stasi, now knowing that, Benjamin does have. Can we confirm that he does have the material?
No, the material's in the.
I still locked away.
Yeah, I don't think you
Something.
confirmed that yet.
He's got something.
But we don't know what it is. Okay. Great.
Just his
Well, yeah.
cigarettes. That's all he really has. That's all he really cared about. It's just like
Really,
he
I
got
got
his
his
cigarettes.
entire mission.
that was the true. Yeah, that was a true victory.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's go on a tour.
Okay.
So Castillo is turning to you as you're turning to them.
Great.
Oh, Hector. It has been settled. Our transport is on the way. We shall make a special delivery for you. One Benjamin. And we in turn will take the cesium 138. But while we wait, for it will be a little, I would love to see your prison. There is nothing in the world that gets me more excited than iron bars and the smell of malt.
The smell of what?
Nothing. Come. And she scoops his arm and she says,
Please, I'd love to see it. You said it once was a great prison.
He says, you want a tour right now?
I do. We have plenty of time while we wait for our transport to arrive.
I need you to make a risk on this one, Vivian. This will definitely be a grift.
Okay.
You also have 2 mission points left, but you do not have your special ability anymore. So
Not. So I'm just gonna flat roll it.
okay.
Oh, not good at all. 14.
Okay. Well, I mean, the 14, which means, as my mind filled with rules of 6,000 things. Right, that's what I thought. So you tell me what happens, and I will give you the single veto condition. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Oh god, I love the system. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
So I take him by the arm and begin walking him towards whatever the north end is that we haven't really explored, and just trying to butter him up. I pat him on the arm and I say, but of course Stasi must come along. She is, well, my better half. And I keep talking, and I lead him. I mean, I don't know which way I'm going, but I'm trying to get him excited, and I'm going, oh, and what was this? Oh, and that. What was in there? Tell me of who was stored in this cell.
Okay, so you're bringing them up basically over this way.
I want to get him away from this main space, so that if nothing else, the only focus is drawn away from the room.
I see. He says, so I'm going to say that you do that, except that he says, all right, but of course, I'm happy to show you something of what we did here, but Ramirez, I want you to stay with them. And he nods to one of the other soldiers and he says, you too, Carrasco. And so Carrasco and Ramirez step up, and they do not have their attention taken away from the main space. Both of them are standing fairly near you, Stasi, with guns trained on you and Damien, while Vivian, you have Castillo begins to show you, this was the place where we handled the most difficult prisoners. Isolation went here, and and then he starts to talk to you as he's sort of showing you through these cells. So you depart this main area.
Okay.
Now, Stasi, you are there with Damien, with the 2 guards right next to you.
Cool. So, Ramirez, you look like you keep in pretty good shape.
I try.
I mean, pretty good. Do all of you here have a workout regimen? Do you do workout buddies?
And Ramirez kind of looks at you and says, I remember how I used to get my workouts. They mostly involved working through the prisoners, if you know what I mean. And he kind of cracks his knuckles.
I crack my neck. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That's what they did to that Ben guy. He's the worst.
And he says, I never met Ben, but Castillo, I get all my Latin names mixed up. Castillo, he says, Castillo had this happen, talked about him all the time. He got very frustrated with him. The only one who ever escaped this place. I always thought he must have had help, but Castillo wouldn't hear the end of it. Tried to do everything he could, looked around everywhere. I'm glad that you were able to find him, though. Maybe Castillo can finally have a chance to rest. The poor man, it's very difficult to manage an operation like this.
Yeah, but is he really the one managing it, Ramirez?
And Ramirez says, well, what do you mean?
I don't know, you just seem so competent and in charge. I thought, I thought it might be you.
And Ramirez says, no, Castillo is my commandant. He's done a decent enough job, I suppose. Kind of trails off.
He seems to really value your opinion.
He says, yes, I have been with him since the beginning. I saw when the prison was nothing. Then I saw when he built it up. It was his idea to give the villagers food and shelter so that they would come right up against the walls. Make it most difficult for anyone who wanted to remove the prison without hurting the villagers. That's the way it works, You bring in some innocents, everyone gets all frightened that they might hurt someone. Castillo has no such concerns, and neither do I. They're a bunch of refuse, all of them. I can replace garbage with other garbage whenever I want. That's how Castillo feels.
Oh, man after my own heart. Is this really though for this big prison? This is all you guys have? I think you could probably take care of the whole prison yourself, but it's like 3-4 people.
He says, we have a few more, but we're all well trained. Most of the most of the guards after the prison closed, they all left, wanted to pursue other avenues. Only those who really shared Castillo's vision, his most trusted soldiers, stayed with him. And they were the ones that he promised eventually there would be a reward. This thing that he's got now, this is the reward that we expect. And I'm already excited to imagine what I can do. I have a whole workout plan, a whole gym that I'm going to build. I can do nothing but pull-ups, push-ups, and everything else. It'll be tremendous.
That's great.
He says, but mostly what I'll do is find more of these people. More of the people that decided that they could do what they want to me. Do this, Ramirez. Do that, Ramirez. It'll be different then. Then we'll see what happens when someone else has the upper hand. And again, the knuckles crack.
No, I feel that. My man. Well, since this will be the start of a whole new life for you, would you like to toast? You and your buddies?
Toast?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we have any drinks.
Oh no, I have a drink. Watch. Take a little swig, like of a flask or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
He says, oh well, I suppose maybe you mean toast with that?
I find some glasses, but we should celebrate all of us together.
I'm going to ask you to make a grift roll on this, Stasi, please.
Okay. Oh, what do I have in grift? Do. There it is.
What is your grift number, by the way?
3.
Okay. You got 2 mission points left. You want to use one of them?
Yeah, that doesn't count my special ability, does it?
No, unless you plan to, in the middle of this, be like, let us toast. Whoop-pow! Like, I mean, if you're going to...
No, I want to get as many people as possible in the room.
Okay. No, then this would be a grift first. Let's
Okay.
see if you gather them together.
Okay, we'll see. No, I do not.
Yep. So what that means is... Actually, you had a 7, right? So,
Yeah.
Okay, that means I will tell you what happens, but you get to veto something. So,
Okay.
So you said the thing about like, let's go this together, and Ramirez kind of says, this is not something that I can do. I appreciate your enthusiasm, trust me, but Castillo would never allow it. He thinks it's important to maintain some kind of security. I'm happy to take a drink from your flask, maybe, but I can't go looking for glasses and bringing other people in. Sorry.
That makes perfect sense. So then what we should do is, these guys have this place covered, so maybe we just have a quick, like over here. Just as the right hand.
I'll buy that.
One right hand to the other right hand.
Okay, I'll buy that as a veto. So you're just taking him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you will bring him over, and I know I said I was going to get to you, Ben. I will in just 1 second. I just want to finish up with Stasi. Okay, so you bring him over. Do you just hand him the flask? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm basically trying to get us somewhere where there's some kind of cover, if it's like in a doorway or something.
You could maybe bring him into maybe this, like right there.
Mm-hmm.
You could possibly do that if you want.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And, of course, looking at Damien as I go. And, yeah, once we're in there, what I would really love to do is just out of line of sight. It's just like quietly strangle him or something,
All right, so let's get him on a line of sight. Let's see how well you do that. Let's have you make a grift roll here. And
Grift?
then, grift. God, no, it's late. Make a heavy roll. Definitely not
Okay.
a grift.
Okay.
You fool him into strangling himself, and so it's a grift. No, heavy roll.
21.
Yeah. That is so you explain to me exactly what you do. I won't even veto it. I won't
Okay.
even do anything. It's 21.
Yeah. So as we walk into this room, getting out the line of sight of these men with their guns, whatever, I take another swig of the flask and hand it to him. And as he's like going to lift it, I like the flask right into his throat so he can't scream out. And then I turn him around and I just, with my massive arm muscles, I just under the table.
And Jabba the Hutt style slumps to the ground.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
My gymnasium.
Exactly. He's like, my dream of Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
And hits the ground. Okay. As he slumps to the ground, Ben, let me jump back to you. What are you doing? This is right after Damien has closed the door, actually, basically. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You already came in with a backpack. Or go into check the chest. What are you doing with the object that you retrieved?
He goes back up to the door and he whispers into Jose in Spanish, Jose, are you tied to that thing?
What do you mean?
Jose, do you want to go home?
Yes, very much.
Are you tied to what you're wearing? Do they connect you to it?
No,
Can you take it off?
No, they told me if I put it down, it'll explode and kill me. I don't want to die.
Come over here to the door.
He comes and you can sort of hear, and then you see him sort of coming up to it, still bent over with the weight of this.
Okay, Ben's gonna motion for him to turn around. Ben's gonna look to see if he's wired to this thing, if it's some type of like.
You think
backpack.
You think that he has some. It doesn't look like he's tied, but looks like he's got something. There's so you got the backpack, and then there's like these, kind of like these two metal hooks that are leaning on his shoulders, almost like there's a backpack on top of a frame, and it's actually the frame that he's wearing. And it looks to you, Ben, as if the frame itself might be connected back into the backpack. In other words, there might be some like electrical leads or wires or something like that. So it's not so much that's connected to him, it's that it's connected to the frame, and the frame is sort of weighing on him. So taking it off of the frame, maybe you could do that, but presumably if the wires are disconnected from the backpack and the frame, then maybe something goes boom or something else bad happens.
Okay. I just can't see these guys leaving this up to a kid who could shrug out of this thing and this whole place blows up. I don't think that would be
right
conceivable for them to actually have that as the
That's right.
fail-safe.
And that might not be what you're looking at. That's right.
Is there any type of leads along the door frame that looks like if the kid leaves here wearing the backpack, it would set something off? Like this is kind of a circuit trigger that is meant to keep the backpack in there, not necessarily the kid.
Yeah.
Because there are discussions of the kid being easily replaced. The backpack, they said, couldn't leave the room.
Yep. And now as you look, it actually makes sense because, yes, there are, in fact, wires that seem to be connecting this backpack. And as you look up to the ceiling, you see that there's a couple of almost like tracks that are on the ceiling from which are dangling several wires that are connected. They're very thin, and you wouldn't have noticed them unless you looked up. But those wires are actually connected to the metal frame. So it does look like it's connected to this frame, and the frame is, of course, what the kid is wearing. So yes, it does look like it's attached to the room somehow.
Okay, Ben goes back and retrieves his clothing that he had taken off, his Chilean wear.
Yep.
And he is going to use it to open up the door to this room, and he's just going to walk in with the kid, and he's going to pile up the clothing, kind of fold it and give as much loft as he can.
Okay.
And he is going to tell the boy if he was wearing any type of shoes or anything like that, he's going to say in Spanish, we're going to take this off together. Just you and me right here. I'm going to help you out. If you blow up, I blow up too. But I think, Jose, that I'm gonna get you running back to your village here in about 5 minutes. How's that sound?
And he says, "Oh, but they said that it would explode. They said that we would all die if I left. I'm so cold. I'm so cold."
We're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna leave the backpack though. And Ben's gonna start taking it off of him.
Okay.
And then he's gonna sit down on the clothing that he left there.
You get the impression that if he were stronger, he would be trying to resist you, but instead he's just like shaking, like really already because it's cold, but also because he's just like incredibly freaked out. I need Damien, for reasons that I'll explain in a minute, Ben, to make a. I need you to make a shade roll for me, please, Damien. Is that what?
That didn't go well.
Well, so you're okay. So what happens is you start like walking the other way, sort of like kind of bored, and one of the guards. Now remember, I get to narrate this, and then you get to veto something. So one of the guards says, "Hey, what are you doing?" It looks like it's Carrasco. He says, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to leave here. Stop. Stay where you are."
I wasn't told that. I was told that you couldn't leave here. The deal has already been made. I'm going to look at the isotope and figure out how I'm going to transport it. What am I going to do? Take it out of here with all of my guns?
That's not my problem. You can take it up with them.
Oh, how about this? One of you come here and guard me.
All right. And Carrasco sort of, okay, so that's a good veto. So Carrasco goes after you and follows you up the stairs, which is where you were going, right?
Yeah.
Goes to there? Okay. So now, Ben, as you're starting to sort of work with the backpack, you see first Damien, and so this all happens somewhat at once. Damien is walking up the stairs. You see Ben with the kid with the backpack. Ben looks at you. You see him just as Carrasco comes up, and you see, like, Ben, you see his eyes start to widen as he sees you with the kid. And Damien, you're right in front of him. What do you want to do?
I'm going to use my special ability.
Okay, lay it on me. What do you got?
I believe my special ability was make dope shit. And I have on me the exact same, or not the exact same, but a very similar watch that Ben once had on his wrist. And I kind of take this watch and I pull the time turner on it, which I don't know what the name of it's for, and I jab Carrasco in any part of him. The knockout watch.
What is the? It's the knockout watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you have one mission point left. You use your special ability. So you do that. Carrasco's like, and then down the stairs. As he goes down the stairs, he hits the ground and the gun fires off into the ceiling. And as soon as that happens, you hear a couple of, "What does that?" And a couple of guards come running into the room, Stasi, and Ramirez, who has been sort of drinking, over there with you, is kind of like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, he was already strangled. Never mind." I forgot about that. But a couple of guards come running in, basically, and run right up to where you are. So basically, you're in the room with him, right where you strangled him. Two guards come running from the outside, the ones that were waiting for you at the door, and they come running into the room where you are standing over the body of the now strangled Ramirez. So Stasi, what are you going to do about all that?
So, how many wonderful men is the room?
2.
Oh, nah, fine. Okay, and I saw. Did some people run after Dane too?
No, because it was only Carrasco was the one that was left with him. Vivian is with Castillo. Carrasco is now with Damien. You were with Ramirez, who's now dead, and these other two just came in.
Oh dear. Just okay. Well, yeah, sure. Oh, it's. So what I would like to do is I want to use this last mission point, and I want to start tearing through anyone I see. So the ability is you can take out like up to 10 people.
Yep.
So basically, what I want to do is we go simple. We just box away through it. So the two who run in, I will take those first. As they come with their stupid guns, I will kind of grab them and knock the face with them, just like straight up. and yeah, start moving. Like things were happening. I heard the job. And basically, anyone I come across, I'm going to at the very least knock out.
Okay.
Great.
You roboted out a little bit, but I think I understood what you said.
Oh, yeah.
So as
Sorry,
you kind of
my
run,
internet.
no, it's okay. As you run, so basically, so these two guys run in. You kind of like knock their heads, like kablow, right? With the two of them, is it okay? That's good because a moment later, 4 more guys run in. So they run in. So it's 2 slam, 4 more run in. 2 of them draw guns and fire at you, Stasi. Stasi, how do you get out of the way of these bullets? Because you clearly do. How do you get out of the way of these bullets?
Okay, I gotta back up. Okay, so what I do is I'm going to do like a matrix, like roundhouse kick, right?
Okay.
Like with my boot daggers, right, as we go. So they come in.
Please tell me you aim high so you hit their throats with the boot
Of
daggers.
course.
Okay.
What else with the boot daggers? Yeah, so I
just-
leap up and twirl in the air as they try to shoot me. Ah, you suck. And yes, cut their throat with the dagger and feel really good about myself.
All right, so you leap up literally over the hail of bullets. 2 like slash. They slam into the guards to their side. The guards fire, like fire up into the air. And then as you come back down, like with the boot daggers and the 2 guys that were still there. So those guys fall. And then one last guard runs in. So you've killed 2, 4. One last guard runs in, sees the pile of bodies, and pulls the classic Count Rugen from Princess Bride, like turns and runs away like the other direction, like just is not, starts running the other direction. Now, Vivian, I want to jump to you for a second. You are just being shown the table where various chemical tortures were engaged in to try to get certain prisoners to talk. He's describing this to you in great detail. As you start hearing shots from somewhere else in the prison, he says, "The hell is that?" And he turns and he starts basically booking it out of the room to the south.
Okay. Before he goes to exit, can I? Oh my God, here it goes. Oh God, Vivian's gonna have to get into hand-to-hand combat, isn't she? Okay. Yeah. She. But as he turns to go, she goes, "Wait!" And she's gonna grab him and take her hair stick and put it in his throat.
Give me a heavy check.
Okay, just want to make sure gang.
This is all about you. No mission points.
This is so bad.
All right. No, wait. Yep. Oh, hold on. So you rolled what you rolled, but I normally would not allow this. But chat, I would like to remind you that inspirations exist. So if you want to inspire Vivian to take this man down with a hair stick, now is the time to actually do it. Do I hear inspiration from chat that is coming? Normally I would not ex post facto this, but
Which way is he running?
he's running south into
Towards
the room. Towards the sound of the shots. Like basically towards the sound of where you just wiped out 6 people.
Actually, I have an inspiration that I totally forgot that I had.
You do have an inspiration, but you can't trade it though.
Oh damn.
Can't do that, sorry. For a variety of reasons that would involve my life would be a nightmare at that point with everyone trading to each other. Thank you, Rala Song, for the cheer. I appreciate it. What's up?
Oh yeah, thanks for the cheer.
So let's see. Does anyone have? Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see who has chat that's actually in chat. Blah blah blah.
Not
blah, blah.
so good. I don't usually do hand-to-hand combat.
Okay, he'll run this way.
Yeah, give me a second and I will explain what happens depending on whether we get inspirations. Waiting for it. Okay, now the good news is that you do get a veto out of. You can inspire. Oh, do you want to do that? Dragon Spirit's up to you. Do you want to inspire Vivian?
I don't know what inspiration does, but I sure could use it.
Inspiration means that you will get a chance to roll a second time and take the higher result.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Dragon Spirit does want to inspire you because that's Dragon.
Thank you for your inspiration.
All right, you have been inspired. You may roll again.
My whole 2d6 again.
Yep.
It is exactly the same.
No, you got to it a different way. I mean, it was.
I did.
You know,
At least I didn't get that one, but it's the same. It's
Okay.
meant to be. Dice
So-
gods don't want me to kill him with a hair stick.
So you try to stab him, like he is a trained soldier though, and he's kind of like, oh, he kind of like knocks it out of your hand. Remember, you get to veto one part of this. He knocks it out of your hand and he says, "So, you want to be smart, do you?" And he grabs you around the neck. We'll see exactly how this goes. You're going to come with me, you and your friends, and we're going to see exactly what happens here. Come! And he, like, drags you along behind him. You can veto
okay.
a part of that, some part of it. One part of it.
I'm going to veto him knocking it out of my hand.
Okay.
Grab me, he can take me, but I'm going to keep the weapon.
Okay, sounds good. You're not able to use it though at the moment. I mean, like because he's got the way he's got you. So
right,
he brings
his
you.
reference.
So he brings you, dragging you back into the room. Now, as that's happening, you folks, Ben and Damien, are dealing with stuff at the top that in the ice room, basically. So Ben, what are you doing to try to get you're trying to get this backpack off, right? Damien, are you assisting with this now that the Ramirez has been, I mean, not Ramirez, now that Carrasco has been dealt with?
He's mostly apologizing nonstop because he didn't expect Ben to be there, and he feels like he ruined all of Ben's plans. But once he stops apologizing and he sees what Ben's doing, he's going to try to disconnect the backpack from the room.
You also hear gunshots from elsewhere in the prison. So
yeah, he knows that Stassi's there. That's fine. He assumes that they're hers.
Okay. All right.
Ben would turn
Go ahead,
to
Ben.
Damien, and he would say, "Hey, you got this, Damien.
I think so. At least some part of it.
Get the kid out," and he points. "Go in that room, take a right, take another right. You're gonna see my old place, and there's a hole in the floor. Let the kid go through the hole in the floor. Tell him he looks down and says in Spanish to Jose, there's a hole in the other room. You go down that, crawl out real quick, you'll pop out. You know how to get home."
And he nods. He nods mutely.
Okay, I think I got this.
He goes over and he takes a chunk of ice and walks out of the room. Chunk of ice about yay big.
Okay.
And he just puts it on his shoulder and he walks out of the room and he goes, "I'm going to go down here, Damien. You just get the kid out of the thing and just hold tight. All right?"
Hey Ben, if you see salt, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Ben.
Yep, Ben's just going to head down towards the sound of the fighting, and he is going to put the ice in what he grabbed and seal it up, test the weight, and walk right into the doorway on this side of everything, waiting for the man that he's come here to see.
Okay, do you have the backpack actually on?
Nope.
Okay. So you walk into the room just in time to see, freeze frame, Damien. You're dealing with getting this kid out of the backpack. As
Yes.
you're doing it, you realize that what they've actually done is they have indeed wired it to the top, and it's in such a way that if the wires ever get disconnected, it will trigger the explosive mechanism, which would essentially set this thing to explode. But the way that this is designed, it seems to you that there are several layers to this. So in other words, it wouldn't just touch off the cesium, which would blow up the entire place. It seems like what it would do is set off these small little charges that you can see are part of the weight of the backpack that would basically cause the person wearing it to be killed with the explosive charge. Then it would hit the ground, and then it would, after a certain period of time, blow up the rest of the cesium. But it would start by killing the person who was wearing the backpack. So you have to disable basically both of those. And if you want to do that, it sounds like an awfully good time for a fixer roll. Also, I would point out that you have an inspiration left.
I do have that.
Might be a decent time.
So I'm going to go ahead and roll Fixer to see if I can unhook this thing.
Okay, now are you have to actually use inspiration. If you're going to do that, you need to do that before they actually make the roll. So are you...
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
I had a feeling you would, but I just want to make sure.
So,
Hey.
18.
Okay. So, with an 18, you tell me what happens, and I will veto only one part of it. Actually, wait, I may not even have to do that. No, I take it back. This is all your show. I take that completely back. You tell me exactly what happens.
Okay, so he's kind of figuring out how this works because Ben gave him like the shortest rundown and he only saw a part of it.
Yeah.
But he thinks he has a basic idea, and so he stands in front of the kid and puts his arms through the straps so that it's now on him, like on his chest,
Yep.
so the kid can squeeze out.
Yep.
And then he says, "Do you know how to go?" And when the kid says, "Yeah," he says something in Spanish. He runs down the stairs and lets the kid go. And then now he's got the backpack on him, and it's that one moment of like, "Oh shit, why did I do that?" And then he's around the room, and he like reaches in and pulls out like a small like boot pouch where he had tools, and he begins slowly taking this thing apart, and he moves the cesium out of the side and like sees where all the straps go, and slowly begins to unhook the things from the backpack itself.
Okay.
And then I think he shorts it on itself, like the mechanism that's attached to the room. He shorts it on itself so that way it disconnects everything.
Okay. As you do all of that, and that's awesome, Killbite. Thanks, dude. As you do all that, as you short it on yourself, you hear a click, which suggests that the explosive mechanism has been possibly set off. In other words, it's beginning to tick down.
Well, shit.
Freeze frame. Ben, you are waiting in the main room as you see dragging Vivian back in with him is Castillo. And Castillo is like, I'm going to find out exactly what... And then he stops as he sees you and he's like, So it's like that. I knew that this whole situation was dirty. I suppose you two know each other. It's good that you've come back to me, Benjamin. I always felt that someday it would happen again. Except this time I'm not just keeping you in prison. I have something else, someone else that matters to you right here. That was a pretty cute trick you played with that picture. But appears in the end, you're going to lose after all. And you can see that he's got her like by the neck, basically.
Ben reaches behind him, and in his hand he produces a backpack like the one that Jose was wearing.
You see his eyes widen a little bit.
Now he starts swinging it around. I'm not a scientist, you know this. Castillo, I mean, what do we... Well,
He says, don't do that. No. Don't. He's like, how did you get that out of the room? You shouldn't have been able to get that out of the room.
Oh, are you kidding? I was able to take this out in 2 I got out of this place, didn't I? And he looks and he says, I don't know what exactly... Stasi, do you know what to do with this? Vivian, do you know what to do with this?
From right behind Castillo and Vivi, I'm standing there. Hello.
Right, and he looks at the backpack, looks at Castillo, and he says, I really can't stand to hear you say anything more, Castillo, so maybe you know how to handle this. And he throws it at him.
Okay, make a heavy check for me. I was waiting. I was like, I'm waiting for the exact. I want to know which check. Yeah, it's a heavy check.
It's not like a grift. I'm not trying to like grift this guy.
You were until you were. I was maybe willing to go that way, but when you chuck it at him, no. You're doing the classic take him out.
No. He's throwing it at him for him to catch it. I'm not trying to like knock him out.
Oh, I take it back. Then. I'm sorry. Then yes, I would say this is a grift then. I take that back.
Okay.
I thought you were doing like the classic, like.
No.
Okay.
He's definitely not. Actually, yeah, he's.
Got it.
11?
Okay. Close. So 11 means that you will tell me what happens, but I will veto something. So, and that's better than a 9, which would have been the opposite. So.
Okay, he throws the bag into the air, and as Castillo tracks it,
Yep.
Ben's going to move forward, and as he moves forward, he's going to pull his knife out of the small of his back and go for this guy. As Castillo reaches to grab it, he's going to let go of Vivian, and I am going to run my knife into his heart.
I will agree with all of that, except that he won't let go of Vivian. So when you run the knife into his heart, that means we're going to need to make sure that you don't hit Vivian in the process. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to ask both you and Vivian to make heavy checks. And I am going to essentially combine them together. So, because you're trying to not hit her, and she's trying to not be hit. Okay.
13?
13 total. I would say that's pretty close. So 13 total. Both of you tell me what each of you is doing then. And I'll maybe alter that slightly. So, Ben, you told me knife of the heart. How do you avoid hitting Vivian?
Ben is going to interpose himself between Vivian and Castillo, And as he comes in, much like they had in their last mission, he is going to do a dance move as he wraps his arm around the back of her neck, takes her into a dip, and thrusts with the other hand into the heart. All it's just a fancy way to get her out of the way.
I like it.
If some
A
get
dip.
hurt, it's gonna
And Vivian.
It's gonna be Ben. Or,
Okay.
Yeah.
And Vivian, how do you participate as part of this escape dance maneuver?
I need to make sure that he loosens the grip on, I don't know, my throat. So I take the hairpin that I still have
Right.
and jab it through his right eye.
Hey, there's a good way to actually use those things. I will buy that absolutely, except that I'll say that you don't hit his right eye, but you do stab him in the neck enough to be like,
Yeah.
and so he like jerks his head back, chest is open. Ben hits him with the knife, and he slides the ground. He's like, yes, God. And he kind of slides the ground. He's like, I had what caught you in the end. You'll all die. And his voice expires as you hear Damien say, guys, Damien, you've managed to get the pack off. It is now on the ground, but you hear the ominous ticking sound.
Yeah, I think he moves faster with it on, or it's faster to move when it's on him, and he like walks down with it on. He's like, so the salt, and he looks to Ben.
You haven't found any salt yet, Ben, but you haven't really been looking.
That sounds bad.
You all can
Yeah,
look for
so-
salt if you want.
We have to get this out of here quickly, or it explodes. I think.
Oh, out of the prison?
I think out of everywhere.
I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna die.
I think we all are, so don't worry about it, kid.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Salt.
It's not real.
How much salt do we need? How much?
As much to bring it outside so it doesn't explode immediately. So we can hide it somewhere. Is there a basement? Ben, how low does this go?
There's a
goes-
hole.
How low can it go? Yeah, we can go down to the my tunnel.
Yeah.
Is it a deep tunnel, Ben?
Not really.
Shit.
It's a reasonably deep tunnel, actually, considering how it had to go to actually get to the outside.
Is there a basement in the Alamo, Greg?
Ben runs up to the hole and he yells down, "Are you out of there, Jose?"
You don't hear any response.
I'm going with a yes.
Okay.
The kid's out.
Yeah, so Damien knows where the hole is, and he starts moving for it, and he basically yells out, "As much salt as you can get!" And he's running towards this hole.
As soon as he gets close, Ben rips off the backpack and he's going to take it into the hole. It's my hole, kid. Run! And he dives in.
Okay, so you dive in with the back. So you dive in with the backpack. The other three run. Is that or that's what they were told
Yeah.
to do?
We
You don't do
need-
that.
We need a way out. Vivian goes to find a freaking car.
I'm
Okay.
looking for salt.
Okay. Let's see. Give me a fixer roll, Damien.
A fixer roll.
Yes, fixer
Alright,
roll
I'm
to
okay
see.
with that. Let's see. I'm equally as okay at that as the other time. 13.
Here's what you remember about. This one is not a back and forth thing. Here's what you remember about the place of the building. You may recall that I mentioned that it was made of kind of a soft sandstone. One of the things about sandstone is that sandstone often has deposits of salt found within the walls.
I knew it. I almost called that.
And so you can actually scrape, depending on how much you need, some salt from the walls. But you better, and it's kind of this whole, the walls are rather soft anyway, but you better do it fast if you want to do it.
Okay.
Tell me what to do.
So I think there's a funny scene of where Ben kind of grabs it. He's like, "Get out of here, kid!" And then Damien's running behind Ben. "Get out of here, kid!" And so his plan is just scrape as much salt deposit off of this thing as possible.
Okay.
Pack around the explosive
Okay.
so that it A, absorbs the liquid, and B, doesn't contaminate the water.
Okay.
It's an absorbent isotope.
So you do that, and now the sound of it is like, right? Vivian, in the meantime, you have found your Jeep, which is outside. There are no soldiers remaining, apparently. the pile of bodies that you found seems to be Stasi's work. So like as it's going like this. Vivian, you have the Jeep basically that you rode up.
Yeah,
in
I
now.
basically want to like pull it up to the nearest like exit, like where I think they're all gonna exit.
Okay.
And I'm like, honk, honk.
Okay. All right. So Damien, you have all this stuff packed around this thing. Now I assume you're leaving it and getting the hell out of Dodge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm going. I assume I'm doing this like simultaneously with Ben packing it in and putting it in the hole.
Okay.
And then as soon as I have, I'm aware that it's as packed as I can get it. He's gonna move towards the sound of that horn.
So you do that, as does Ben, presumably, going towards the horn. And I assume Stasi, who is actually, did you go with Vivian, Stasi, or were you just?
No, I was scraping because I could do it faster.
Okay.
Than
So
Damien,
you-
and I was waiting for Ben.
So you actually pull yourself through as well. So underneath this tunnel, or at the bottom of this tunnel, I should say, you have this thing now placed, packed in salt. You all get up to the back to the Jeep, and as you get in the car, sort of the pull off as you hear this. You see the what looks like this kind of like you begin to see this sort of rumbling happening below the level of the prison, and I'm assuming that you're now gunning the Jeep and getting it the hell out now that everyone's in there. As you peel out, there's a wave of earth basically rises up from the bottom. The prison walls, and they all sort of shake and then just this softness of the walls collapses. A great cloud of dirt and steam and everything kind of goes up, and the Jeep basically almost gets knocked off the road by the rumbling as it's sort of going. But there is not a mushroom cloud. There is not a massive explosion in the air. There is not apparently a massive earthquake beyond what I've already described that rips the continent in half, etc., etc. And you all are able to just look around behind you as the Jeep is driving along, racing away from the spot. And you can see as you are driving along, there is on the top of the hill overlooking the road that you're driving up, you see one small figure. You think you see the figure waving at the car. Perhaps it might be the size maybe of a small child. And then the Jeep passes out of sight. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Simon Unpossible wraps up the If Hell Freezes Over. Yes, you did it. Sweet. But you did it. Congratulations, folks. Wow.
Yeah.
That was that was intense.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah, exactly, Crit Twitch. That was exactly how I felt too. Good job, guys. Very, very well done in improvising with a lot of stuff that was going on in the present. I'll talk about at the very end of this about what the prison was like, but really, really nice work. Actually, I'll talk about it right now. The prison that you saw there was actually a real prison. The original name of this, I want to be able to find it. The original name of that prison was... show me the picture. Oh, come on.
Oh,
Okay,
shithole.
there we go. Yeah, no. It is Penitenciaria de Santiago. It was one of the oldest prisons in Latin America, and it actually is found in Santiago, Chile. And that floor plan actually was the inside floor plan, the lower floor plan from Santiago. The other thing is that the picture that in the outside of the picture that you saw was the prison, the inside was the floor plan. And the picture of Castillo was actually a guy named Fulgencio Batista. And if any of you know anything about your history, you will know that Batista was the dictator of Cuba that was eventually overthrown by Castro. So, in Cuba. So, anyway, there were some real life figures that were actually tied in there. But, and it was actually based on a little bit inspired by a Mission Impossible episode also. But great job, guys. So, Mike, good work today. How'd you feel about stuff? How'd you feel about how things went and so on, and where you can, and where you can, people can find you going on forward?
I'm pretty sure I've convinced the team that I am a master of science,
That
both
is the
in
best.
character and out of character. As you know, I have 4 master's degrees in science,
Yes.
and I went to MIT. No, I had a blast. This is fun. I am far more awake than I thought I'd be, and far more awake than I should be. But I had a blast in doing so. And if you guys want to see more of me, come check me out at Unmade Gaming on all things social media.
Awesome, thanks, Mike. Yeah, almost a literal blast, but not quite.
Yeah.
So it actually worked out. I enjoyed the Masters of Science. Good stuff as well. As always, Chelsea, from you and Vivian, you had a chance to actually do some scripting. It was fun to actually see you guys fail on some of these checks this time around. So it wasn't just, if you remember the last time, you were basically just like every mission check, you were like, got it. But you actually had some fails you had to work through.
Well, I had to get a little physical.
Yep.
Could be all talk this round. Yeah, no, it was great. I'm Chelsea. You may also know me as Dot or Little Red Dot, where you can find me online. I play a lot of tabletop RPGs with actually quite a few of these lovely people on different networks and channels, including Unmade Gaming, Greyhawk, where I just came from, and I am now using my own personal Twitch channel to playtest indie games, which I actually started. I launched my own like game setting this month, and next month I start like really playtesting other people's materials. So you follow me. You can find me on Twitter. You can find my Discord if you don't do the social media. Lots of ways you can kind of keep in contact with all the many things that I do.
That's great stuff. Thank you for sticking around, Chelsea, after the other game that you played too. Thank you for being flexible. I appreciate it. Moving right along, Lauren, you got a chance to. You always wondered when you were going to get a chance. You didn't quite kill 10 people, but you did get 6, so that was pretty good. How did you feel about tonight, and where can the fine people find you?
Good. I stayed focused on what I'm good at, and that is something to be proud of. I'm Lauren. I'm That's Up Here over on Twitter. I play games on the internet with my friends like Chelsea. Tomorrow night we're on the Greyhawk channel with the Birthright of the Pomage, an orc-centric Greyhawk game at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, in place of Unpossible, we are doing a one-shot DM'd by Lindy over on twitch.tv/Cryptech21502, and we're doing a Monster Mash, and I'm going to cosplay Polly from Monster Prom, and it's going to be great. I got blue face paint. I'm ready. That's what we're doing on Sunday night this week.
Awesome. That's cool. Thank you, Lauren. It was fun as always seeing your take on Stasi. I always enjoy that. There was no spider kill this time. Instead, you just had the boot dagger / throat thing. So it was good stuff. Plus Matrix, so that's always good. But good stuff as always. And last but certainly not least, of course, Greg, really good stuff from Ben. It was fun to actually see some of your past coming into play here with this. I feel like every shade has got to spend a little time in a sort of dangerous Latin American prison. So that's why I thought it seemed appropriate. How did you feel about today, and where can people find you?
Right. I loved it. You know, Ben Voss is a great character. He's really fun to step into and play. I like the fact that none of these people really know anything about one another, except they find them out on like mission parameters and things like that.
Yep.
It's great. I love playing with everyone. Everyone is so perfect for their roles. And I mean, Lauren doing the corkscrew boot daggers of death, and Chelsea and I having to do, I know that Chelsea has 2d6, so do I. Heavy is the worst thing that Ben can do. And we were both like, let's get him.
Just toss our bodies on them.
Meanwhile, Stasi's like, what are they fucking, you know?
I was watching Assassination and Terror Assassination.
Right.
Oh,
Anywho, love this game, Grimjack21502 on the Twitches and the Twitters. As Lauren mentioned, over on my channel on Sunday, we're going to be doing a little one-shot Monster Mash D&D, and then I am doing Atari Twilight over on Mike's channel on Monday from 8 to 11. It is my opus to all things 80s as we go into the 80s that never was in Free League's Tales from the Loop. Atari Twilight, check out the come for the RP, stay for the music. And then on Wednesday on my channel, we have our premiere episode of May Black Roses Bloom. It is a Dragonlance Dragonlance / Ravenloft inspired campaign straight from the mind of Donathan Fry. It is super, super dope. We also have 1001 Satrian Nights starting GM'd by Grant Ellis next Friday evening as he takes us into the actuality of Invisible Sun over on the channel. Can't wait. And then, of course, as mentioned on my channel, beginning in a few weeks, we have the final season of Project Athena, my story that's been in my heart for so many years. And now we get to do it with, yes, behind Lauren, we get to finish it up and send these characters on their way. But these characters are great to play with. Greg is a great GM to have us take us through some of the 60s and some of the spies. And until next time we meet, everybody, I'll see you on Twitter. I'll see you there. I'll see you here, but keep playing games.
Oh, thanks, man. And yeah, we're creating a crew command. I think what Shadow put in there are the Twitches, I think, although confirm if you could, folks, make sure that that's right, because we're going to make a crew command for you for the channel so people can find you elsewhere. But I'm really glad that these folks, that I managed to get these folks, all except Mike, who then jumped on board afterwards for the Assignment Impossible stuff. It's a real trip to be able to do this. I also really like the Wilderness of Mirrors system, but it only works if you have experienced people, so it's fun to be able to have that and have people just kind of roll with the punches. So this is not easy, folks. What you see these wonderful players doing, it's not that easy to do unless they're willing to kind of put themselves out there a little bit, and that's why it works as well as it does. So I really enjoy it a lot. I believe that they do too, and I am looking forward already to next month and seeing how the stories continue to develop. So many thanks to Grimjack, many thanks to That Salty Ginger, many thanks to Little Red Dot, many thanks to Unmade Gaming. Great pleasure as always, folks, and I will talk to you all soon. Chat, can we get some love for the wonderful players? Thanks, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
And there we go. All right. That is... There we go. That is going to do it for that. I am really glad that worked out. I wasn't sure how much all of this was going to work when I was trying to do it at the time, because I'm like, man, I got a lot of stuff I got to do, and I got to figure out how to do this on the road, but it all worked. It all somehow worked. We all managed to make it happen, and so that was great. I really enjoyed it. I hope you folks did as well. I like spy stuff a lot, so it's fun to be able to do this once a month. Again, the Assignment Impossible crew will be back next month with episode 5. But that is going to do it for me for tonight. I don't think I'm going to do a raid tonight just because it's going to be too complicated to figure out how to do it from where I am. And so I don't have a lot of real estate in terms of my screen space. But I do want to make 2 announcements before folks leave. The first is, as a reminder, on tomorrow, Saturday, at 7 p.m. Eastern, or I guess that's actually later today, 7 p.m. Eastern is my live Adventures in Middle-earth campaign live here from CanCon, where I currently am. Amal El-Matar will be with me in person, and then calling in will be Will, Trendane, and Terry Tunes. They will be joining me as part of this campaign in front of a live studio audience. So please stop by. I will be broadcasting it, of course, on Twitch, and I'm really looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. And then you will see me after that. The other announcement is on Tuesday, during my regular session from 12 to 3. I have a special surprise for all of you who follow the Infinity and Beyond crew, and it may have to do with a certain missing character, but I won't say more than that. Just, you can conjure with what the possibilities might be. We'll see. But I really enjoyed it today. I hope you folks did as well. This was great. Yeah, and as far as the notification, I don't know. I'm not sure what to say about that, unfortunately, Ardenel. The only thing I can say is if you follow me on Twitter, I always post when I'm going live on Twitter. It's not necessarily like right the second that I go, but it's usually within an hour or so either way, so that might help a little bit. Twitch notifications, you just have to double check and make sure that Twitch has not removed you from the notification area, because sometimes that can happen. But yeah, that's what I would say. I'm sorry that happened. I mean, I definitely like to have everyone there as way. You check Twitter once a day. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of other ways to kind of give you ways to find out about it, because otherwise I know that can be frustrating. But I'm glad you showed up eventually. I hope people enjoyed this as much as I do. I really like the mission of the Assignment Impossible stuff that we do once a month. And as I say, a lot more RPGs. Thank you to Dragon Spear, by the way, and to That Gamer Main for their inspirations tonight. They definitely were, thanked by the team. They were definitely valued by the team, so thank you. And as for me, I will be back to you folks on Saturday Saturday. That's right. Also, as Shadow said, the Discord announcements channel will have live notifications. That's true. So that's also another way that you can get information also. But that's going to do it for me. Or posted has never failed me. That's true. That's a low-tech, high-efficiency approach. So that's good too. But that's going to do it for me. Remember, of course, to follow the channel. Please support the channel by checking out the YouTube channel with !ArvTube, the Discord with !ArvCord, the shop with !ArvShop, the Twitter with !ArvTweets. Please make sure to check out the Patreon, which is sitting right there at $389.96. We're trying to get that to $400 and north of that, so you can get inspirations and things like that, which is great. And last but certainly not least, of course, that sub button right above the video window. We're sitting at 70 subs, so anyone who's able to support by jumping in and subbing can get one of those awesome custom badges that you see that people are using in chat, plus the Get Hyped emote that you see. That's really awesome. And if you subscribe at a tier 2 level or above, that also helps you get an inspiration, which you can use for one of the campaigns that we do every month on this channel. But that said, that's going to do it for me. Feel free to stick around for this intro video, outro video thing for Simon Unpossible. And thank you all for being here. Much love. Again, ArvBox never fails. But I will see you folks Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, for Adventures in Middle-earth live. Until then, thanks everybody, and love you all. Best viewers on Twitch, and I will see you all, your wonderful people, soon. Until then, good night from Canada. Good night for now.